it final. Flip her over, grab the Jimmy out the glove box. Tell her shake it in there, then let her butt drop. 10,000, multiply 100. Bitch, there's a million fly women's in my dungeon. Catch me in the airport, flying out to London. Stacking up my paper, you can tell that I am stunned. 10,000, multiply 100. Bitch, there's a million fly women's in my dungeon. Catch me in the airport, flying out to London. Stacking up my paper, you can tell that I am stunned. I don't think she got shit like it when I smack her bullet when she on the top. That's how thugs rock. You ain't my lady, you ain't nothing. We just fucking. You was just the hoe I picked when I was looking for the suck. Bitch, I got 10,000, multiply 100. Bitch, there's a million fly women's in my dungeon. Catch me in the airport, flying out to London. Stacking up my paper, you can tell that I am stunned. Bitch, I got 10,000, multiply 100. Bitch, there's a million fly women's in my dungeon. Catch me in the airport, flying out to London. Stacking up my paper, you can tell that I am stunned.
Damn, that ended like at the perfect time. My food. One sec. About to get started. Just bear with me a sec.
Check, check. Mic check, 1, 2. All right. I think we're Gucci. So, how are you beautiful people doing today? Did you miss me? No need to respond. I'm sure you did. Look, we got a busy week. I got a really busy week. So I decided to try to squeeze some time in. I may or may not get lucky. May have the day off tomorrow or today in just a little bit. But just in case, I wanted to knock out. See, you can tell I'm tired already. Can't even speak correctly. I wanted to knock out another logical analysis. All right, it's been a while. Just really did like a logical analysis. I figured, let's check out the new Jubilee video. They didn't do a 20v1 again, but that doesn't mean we can't review the debate that they did do and see who has the better logic. So what we're going to be reviewing is the Jubilee Round Table. Now, I think they've done this before. I'm pretty sure I've seen it before. I might have even seen like a flat earth one. I'm not really familiar with how they do them. So this will be my first time watching one. But they've got two leftists / liberals versus two MAGA conservatives. So this is obviously going to be a political one. And, you know, like I said, I kind of fucking hate political debates. They tend to get a lot like very heated. Which like isn't to say that scientific debates and other types of debates don't. But with politics, people I feel like are less rational, a lot more emotional, and their appeals and the amount of fallacies that you can find in their argumentation are substantial. So part of the reason I hate political debates is if I'm trying to analyze their argumentation or even call out their fallacies, which I'm trying to get better at, when you're doing it live and there's so much of it, you almost want to pause every time they say something. Like you almost want to address every single thing, and you can't do that. So instead, with politics and political debates, we're just gonna do it a lot more casual. We'll do like some fact checks or whatever, where they're appropriate. I don't want this one to be too long either. I want to wrap it up in one go. So it's some things we're not going to address. We'll briefly address them if we do. We might not get too technical with what particular fallacy they're committing, but I'll try to call it out when I see it. But yeah, I mean, without further ado, let's get into this. I'm also going to be eating, so you know, sometimes I'm probably just going to let them talk. I'm going to let them finish their argument, and then I'll say whatever. I'll give you my opinion or my analysis. Now, I don't know how this one goes. In the 20v1s, somebody makes a claim and they debate about the claim. So I normally give you guys my assessment of the claim, how easy I think it is to argue, and how well I think they can argue it. And then, like, you know, kind of whether I agree with it or not. I don't know if they're going to be doing that here. So I guess we'll just have to see. But I'm probably going to do the same thing. If they do have something similar, I'm going to address the prompt so that we are clear what the actual topic of the debate is. And if they're just kind of debating different points. We'll just kind of we'll figure it out as we go. But let's get started. I think they're just gonna have a little clip here of something that happens in the middle of the debate. So probably not gonna comment too much on this, but it's always interesting to see where you actually get into the debate, where it kind of ended up.
And there's a reason why he's not focusing on that, because he knows it's bullshit.
I mean, I wouldn't.
And we all know it's bullshit.
I mean, again,
and you're stammering
I'm not
right
gonna
now
make
because
this
you
up.
can't
And here,
defend it.
So
And there's a reason
is that how
why
it
he's
started?
not focusing on that, because he knows it's bullshit.
I mean, I wouldn't.
And we all know it's bullshit.
I mean, again,
and you're stammering
I'm not
right
gonna
now
make
because
this
you
up.
can't
And here,
defend it.
we'll,
and you
let's-
want
let's
to move
move
the
on.
prompt because
Yeah,
you know
We're not moving on.
because
We're
that's
not
the
moving on because that's what this is all about. It's about getting money for something that didn't happen.
Well, no.
Yes, it is.
I would love to know what they were talking about in that instance. That's all I always say. It's always interesting to see like where it ended up, because I'm like, what exactly is he talking about there? That's a nice little snippet, like a sneak peek.
My name's Mason. I'm a leftist.
My name's Keith, and I am a Democrat.
My name is Austin Julio. I am a conservative populist.
My name is Martin, and I'm a MAGA Republican.
And you're watching Round
Wait. Let me see that again. Wait, so hold on. Because they said, like, you can look at the debate here, right? Liberals versus MAGA. And one says he's a conservative populist. I mean, people do refer to MAGA people as populists. So maybe I'm reading too much into it. But I think it's interesting that they refer to themselves differently like that.
My name's Mason. I'm a leftist.
My name's Keith, and I am a Democrat.
My name is Austin Julio.
Okay, so he admits see, this is what I'm saying. I hate the way Jubilee fucking labels their videos, right? Because in the thumbnail, I can't show you the thumbnail right now, but in the thumbnail of the video, it says like Leftists versus MAGA, but on the title it says Liberals versus MAGA. And when you get into the debate, he says, "Oh, I'm a leftist." The other guy says, "I'm a Democrat." This guy says, "I'm a conservative populist." And this guy says,
I am a conservative populist.
My name is Martin, and I'm a MAGA
"I'm a MAGA Republican." So, like, you got two people on each side that don't seem to fully agree with each other, but they're labeling the debate as if they kind of do. So, they're kind of mislabeling them already. I'm not sure where this is going to go.
Republican.
And you're watching Round Table. Let's get into it.
I've said very clearly, making buses fast and free costs about $700 million a year. Making universal child care a reality.
So, hold on. The first topic is Mom Donnie. I guess that's topical enough.
Republican.
And you're watching Round Table. Let's get into it.
I've said very clearly, making buses fast and free costs about $700 million a year. Making universal child care a reality costs about $5 or $6 billion a year. If you raise the state's top corporate tax rate to match that of New Jersey, you'd be raising $5 billion in and of itself.
Well, Zoran, boy,
Wait,
you're
wait.
fantasy.
I didn't watch this debate. People were talking about it, by the way. I'm assuming this is the debate for the New York mayoral election. I want to listen to what he just said one more time. See if that follows. Or whether it's true or not.
Buses fast and free costs about $700 million a year. Making universal child care a reality costs about $5 or $6 billion a year. If you raise the state's top corporate tax rate.
So I guess you'd have to ask him. I don't know if any of those numbers are actually accurate. And I mean, the first one sounds plausible. Like with the buses, that seems a bit easier to actually like find a number for. But the whole like the food thing,
Reality costs about $5 or $6 billion a year. If you raise making universal child care a reality costs about $5 or $6 billion.
Okay, so no, he said making universal child care a reality. Yeah, I'm not sure how you really get that number anyway. Like, either way, I'm sure this just sounds like rhetoric. I'm sure he gets the numbers from somewhere, but
a year. If you raise the state's top corporate tax rate to match that of New Jersey, you'd be raising $5 billion in and of itself.
Well, Zora,
again, I don't believe that. Because the thing is, raising taxes isn't enough if people can still get around the taxes. It's like if they're using tax loopholes and still basically don't end up paying any taxes, raising the taxes didn't do anything. So it involves more than just raising taxes. So no.
boy, your fantasies are never going to come about in terms of funding everything you want. It's going to be free, free, free. It's a fantasy. Let's deal with the reality. I
like his accent. I don't know if I necessarily agree with his point. It doesn't necessarily have to be a fantasy, but if he's referring to the idea that just raising taxes is gonna help us raise all this money to address these issues, well then I mean, yeah, because it involves more than just raising taxes. So technically that is a fantasy.
The Assemblyman's whole plan is based on a myth. He said he's going to raise the taxes the same as New Jersey, corporate tax. No, it would be double the tax. You would see New Yorkers on 995 fleeing to Florida.
Zoran Mamdani.
Well, that is true. That is true.
Promotes a political ideology that undermines core American principles.
I commend you on getting his name right.
So the claim, they are doing it similar. The claim is that Mamdani promotes a political ideology that undermines core American principles. That could be true. This might be easy to argue, although they're going to have to outline what core American principles they mean and exactly how it undermines them. That probably won't be too hard. He's probably going to come from like a capitalist free trade perspective. But it will kind of depend. Because when you talk about core American principles, it's like, well, we've developed more over time, right? And a lot of people like to appeal to the founders, but the reality is that the founders aren't the only people who created things in America or ideologies in America, or even contributed to some of the core American principles we have now. Like some of them have been refined over time. Certain ideas have been kind of added. And if you're talking about core American principles, they could probably argue from the leftist side or the liberal side that they're upholding some core American principles. But we'll see what their logic is and how they attempt to argue against this. This guy, I think his name's David or something. I know I've seen him in the 20v1 episodes at least once or twice. He looks pretty confident. Like he has a little smirk on his face. So let's see what he's got.
Right, something Andrew Cuomo can't do.
Yeah. So I guess we could start on the prompt here. I think that there's two main ways in which Mamdani undermines core American principles. I think first of all his economic agenda is inherently anti-American, and then I also think what he represents culturally is inherently anti-American.
Okay. I hope he digs into that, because where we are now, well, I think it would be very easy for the leftists to argue against that.
First of all, on the economic part, I think that it's pretty well established that rent controls, price controls just flat out do not work. It's really a variation of Marxist ideology that the government needs to step in and
he's mostly correct.
And set what the market should be. That's an ideology that we fought against for the entirety of the 1900s. We can get into later of why price controls and rent controls don't work. Then on the cultural aspect, I think that Mamdani's characterization of New York City as being this Islamic phobic city and that America is this place that is just harmful to Muslims could not be further from the truth. And I think that the story that he told the other day of the real victim of 9/11 being his aunt is probably one of the most disrespectful things that someone could say as someone running for the mayor of New York City. The victims of 9/11 were the people who died on 9/11. All Americans were victims.
Wait, hold on. Because he kind of got into it's just kind of like a side tangent. I forgot to speed this up. I don't have enough patience to listen to these people at anything other than 1.25 speed or higher. All right.
Is this place that is just harmful to Muslims could not be further from the truth. And I think that the story that he told the other day of the real victim of 9/11 being his aunt.
Did he say that? I'm not super familiar with Mamdani. I'm not going to look it up right now. I'll just assume what he said is true. And then maybe we'll check to see if that's actually what he said, if the other guy pushes back against it. If the other guy accepts it, I'll leave it alone.
Is probably one of the most disrespectful things that someone could say as someone running for the mayor of New York City. The victims of 9/11 were the people who died on 9/11. All Americans were victims of 9/11. And to say that the real victims were Muslims that were living in the city who may or may not have had an extra look glanced at them,
May or may not.
is just crazy. And I could literally not think of anything more anti-American than to say that.
I could respond to the first part. I don't really have an opinion about the second part, but
You have an opinion?
I don't really have
On
an
Islamophobia?
I mean, I have an opinion of Islamophobia, bad, but I don't really think it's the crux of this. I think, if you think price control is bad, which I think government has a role in controlling prices, you disagree with that?
I mean, I think that price controls themselves, setting price caps that the government shouldn't have a role in doing that.
But the government does have some role, you're agreeing, in controlling prices.
In controlling inflation, sure. But when we're talking about rent controls,
Kind of. I don't really think it's the government's role to really get involved with pricing. They can. I think the best way to say it is they can indirectly affect it. But yeah, no.
for price controls, we're talking about setting a price cap. That's what a rent control is.
I think we should focus the first part of the conversation on whether or not this is un-American. And then
Yeah, like telling people what they're allowed to charge is a little too much government overreach for me. Like, kind of crazy.
we can move to like the effectiveness of the policy. Because I'd like to talk about both. I think it's wild for you to say that they may or may not have gotten a couple more glances when we know Islamophobia is proven to be not only specifically linked to the attacks on 9/11, to which most Muslim Americans were blamed for, even though there's no relation to Al-Qaeda, but also...
Wait, no relation to Al-Qaeda from 9/11?
No.
I don't really like the term Islamophobia, but if we're just understanding what he means here, I think he's technically right.
The Muslim Americans.
Wait, go
relation
back.
to
Hold on,
Al-Qaeda.
go back. You said something. I don't know if you misspoke. You said that there was no correlation between Islamophobia and 9/11. Is that?
No. I'm saying there was a high correlation in post 9/11 that specifically
Yeah.
Muslims were targeted socially. I was contending with Martin's claim that they may or may not have gotten a couple glances. When we know that hate crimes are on the rise, that's from the NYPD, specific data that has proven that. It's not just an opinion. And when we saw a lot of the capture during the Bush administration, which I've increasingly noticed a lot of MAGA are willing to say that the Bush administration acted outside of their authority. Would you guys agree with that?
I hate George Bush. So
Okay,
that's all I'll say. George Bush.
We agree.
The Iraq War.
Well, damn. You said fuck George Bush.
Was a big fat mistake.
Yeah, and specifically the abduction of Muslim Americans and sent to Guantanamo Bay to torture them to try to pry out any information relating to Al-Qaeda is insane. And that's specific racial profiling, which we would call Islamophobia, specifically because of the basis of the religion. And that had heightened effects after 9/11, which is exactly what Zoran's talking about. He was not dismissing the victims of 9/11. He was not saying that the people that died in 9/11 were not actually victimized. He was saying specifically...
That's actually, like, when dude was making his argument and saying that, this is exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, it just sounds like he was talking about the fact that, they had to deal with a lot of bullshit after that, and they had nothing to do with it. So, I mean, he's kind of right. Like, that's what I got from it. So I probably agree with the leftist guy right now.
Specifically, there is an undercurrent of hatred towards Muslims that has happened in New York City that goes
A little
unnoticed.
bit.
And by presidents of Republican organizations that say they may or may not have gotten an extra look.
But
He was saying that the real victim of 9/11 was Muslims, which is just an asinine
genuinely
comment to
means
make.
that.
I mean, I quite literally just heard a nigga say last night, a white guy, war vet, is saying that Islam is the biggest threat to the world. So, I mean, like, people don't just come up with ideas like that on their own most of the time. A lot of that was due to propaganda. A lot of them have those ideas because what he's saying can't really be argued.
Do you think he genuinely means that?
I
Or
mean,
are you specifically focusing
yes,
on
yes, I do
words
think
for
that is what he
political motive?
I do think that is what he
Alright,
genuinely
then
means.
I
Or
don't
can't
think
really
you
be
have any
argued
purpose in
against.
speech.
Now-
You can
now
say
when we say
you
the
guys
same
can
thing about
defend
Trump-
That's exactly what I'm saying. You guys can defend Trump on ends. On every single thing he says has a positive tone.
Because
And you can say some person that misspoke. Oh my God, he literally thinks that the people deserve to die
It
in
wasn't a
9/11.
mistake, and because it's indicative of a broader idea.
Now we're just getting bad faith. We're red herrings, ad homs. Yeah, I don't know what he just. That happened really fucking fast, dude. I was agreeing with him, and now I'm like, all right. Now we're off the rails.
Ideology that Zoran has, that America is a systemically Islamophobic country, when it's just flat out not true. If you look at the data, I mean, if you look at the data, the Islamic population and the
If he believes it's systemically Islamophobic, maybe in some ways you could probably argue that. I'd say, I mean, if you're saying like systemically or whatever, right? I mean, we do have people in office that follow Islam, right? So it's not like they have reputation. It's not like they don't have representation in the government. It's not like they don't even have certain laws protecting them. So I don't really know if you could argue that it is systematically like Islamophobic if you're taking those things into account. Now, I guess we'd probably have to ask them what they mean by systemically to really get into it. But I generally agree with what he's saying. Like saying that America is systemically Islamophobic, to some degree, like one side of the aisle, but I don't think that's happening on the other side. So, and then as far as the people go, that's not systemic. Like how the people feel about people who follow Islam is not systemic. But I mean, being that this is what people would call a Christian country, there are fundamental theological and moral disagreements that people have with Islam. So I wouldn't necessarily, this is why I don't like the term Islamophobic. I wouldn't say that they hate or fear, Islamic people. They might hate their religion. They might have a problem with their religion. They might disagree with them on a lot of things. They might be afraid of terrorists. But I don't think America is systemically Islamophobic, or that the average American is Islamophobic.
in the United States has grown from right around 500,000 before 9/11 to over 4.5 million
His
today,
opponent
because
said,
we've let them in.
His opponent said he would be cheering during another 9/11.
That
is
based,
Islamophobic.
based off the comments he just made, I don't know. I mean, if he's saying that the real victims of 9/11 were Muslims, not the actual people who died in it,
You think the next mayor of New York City would cheer if the Twin Towers were taken? That's what you're saying.
I'm saying that Zohran Mamdani has a view of America that it is this place that where
No,
Muslims
but you
are.
said you weren't sure if Zohran
Answer the
Mamdani
question.
would cheer a terrorist attack against New York City.
I know that on October 7th that Zohran Mamdani didn't condemn Hamas in the aftermath of it. So I hope that if he,
But that's not what I'm talking about.
I mean, Zohran has a
I hate this part of the argument. Like, we're getting slightly off topic here, and it's just like, if we look at the prompt again, right? Because I feel like we're off topic. If we look at the prompt again, it says Zohran Mamdani promotes a political ideology that undermines core American principles. So I would like him to lay out the American principles that he undermines. He started doing that with the rent control stuff. But with this part, I don't entirely see how we're undermining core American principles here. And what he's saying doesn't really have much to do with it. It has more to do with like some things and some actions of his that he's kind of reading into. And I feel like there's a lot of assumptions being made that can't necessarily be substantiated.
history of downplaying terrorist attacks and not condemning them. So I don't want that person as the mayor of the nation's largest city.
To his point, Zohran Mamdani did not condemn the October. He did not condemn Hamas.
Every interview, and I mean every interview. Maybe you could find.
Now, I guess, politically speaking, if someone in office refuses to condemn something that another country did to our country's allies. You could either argue that he doesn't care or he's for it, or that he has some other reason, maybe just not pissing off other Muslim voters that might vote for him. But he could have some reason for just not wanting to say that specifically, right? Maybe he's just not trying to feed into the other side or whatever. But I don't think it necessarily means that he like agrees with it. Like that's a leap. That's a leap of logic. Whether it's rational to make that leap or not, I'm not gonna say. But that is a leap, and you'd have to substantiate that.
Find 3 or 4. Zoran is asked about Hamas, and there's a specific reason for that. It's because of his identity. And every single interview, he has said that.
Right, yeah, because they wouldn't ask anybody. Like they really wouldn't ask anybody else about that. I really don't think they would. Like a lot of leftists are like, defending Palestine and free Palestine and shit. But most of the time, they're not asking them, well, do you condemn Hamas and the actions of Hamas? No, I'm not saying they don't. They do ask them that. But I could agree with him that probably one of the main reasons they're asking him that is because he's like Muslim, right? Like they want to, well, are you in agreement with the terrorists? Like we know how the game of politics works. This is a reasonable assumption.
On October 7th are something that are unjustifiable.
He didn't say that the day of or the day after.
Well,
His immediate response wasn't that. Zoran didn't immediately, when he was on stream with Hassan, a man who has literally said that the United States deserved 9/11.
Why are we talking about Hassan Piker?
Because this is someone
Oh, he got on stream with Hassan? That's interesting. Well, maybe might be even more of a reason to ask him that. And it's like, but again, like all he's doing is streaming with a well-known streamer. He's trying to get outreach. Like he's trying to get more voters active. He's trying to get access to his audience. So, I mean, again, if he's trying not to piss off people who would be voting for him or people who might agree with it, he might just not say anything, even if he himself personally disagrees. That's all I'm saying.
Someone that Zoran has allied himself.
We got to rewind because you think it's fine for the President of the United States to not talk about two.
Thank you for the follow, Blue Viper.
No, let's talk.
State senators.
Chat. This man is Hassan Brain. Chat.
This man is
Hassan Brain.
No, I'm saying you think it's appropriate for an assemblyman to talk about October 7th in Israel, but you
next
don't
mayor of
think,
New York City?
No, but you don't think it's appropriate for the. It doesn't make sense. You have unrealistic expectations of an assemblyman from New York to have to condemn a war that's happening not in America when the president of the United States.
Yeah. People who are running to be the mayor of New York City should condemn terrorist attacks.
At the first New York mayoral primary debate, when there was a sea of Democrats, they went one by one asking, where would you visit if you became the next New York mayor? Where would you make a specific trip where you're representing New Yorkers? All of them said Israel, except for Zoran Mamdani. And a lot of very strong Zionists said that's indicative that he is anti-Semitic. But I saw a lot of...
Whoa! Did they really? That's crazy. If that's true, that's insane. What, the nigga just don't want to go to Israel? The fuck? He's Muslim. Maybe he wants to go to the Mecca. Like, what's it called? What is it like? The Muslim, the holiest site for Muslims. Yeah, the holiest city. This is something I wasn't familiar with until a couple years ago. But yeah, Mecca. There is a mosque in Jerusalem, but there are other places. Saudi Arabia, yeah, Mecca's in Saudi Arabia. So maybe he would rather go to some other, like, some of his religions and his people's holy sites. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, just to show you, like, there are other Muslim holy sites, right? The 3 holiest sites in Islam are and forgive me, I don't know how to pronounce this shit. Masjid al-Haram, al-Masjid al-Nabawi, Al Masjid An Nabawi. I don't know. Look, I don't even particularly like their languages, so I don't know how to pronounce this shit. And the Al Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. So like one of these is in Jerusalem. And it's revered as the farthest mosque, right? But there are other holy sites. I think there's like the holiest site. The holiest site. I don't know if they already had it on that list. Yeah, the Kaaba. Yeah, okay, so it is. It's in the Mecca. Like I said, the Kaaba. So maybe that's where he'd want to go. But like, if what this guy said is true, it's kind of crazy that they're like, oh well, no Israel, he must be anti-Semitic. Like, bro, come on now, come on now.
Conservative populist, Charlie Kirk included, who said, hey, he's actually trying to speak to New Yorkers. He's saying that he cares about specifically the people that he will be governing, instead of just capitulating to the demands of the Democratic establishment who wanted him to say something like Israel.
And I did hear a lot of people say that. And he said even Charlie Kirk said that. So W points for this guy. he's like, he's using your own people against you. He's like, even your own people can be good faith.
Said Israel, except for Zoran Mamdani. And a lot of where would you visit if you became the next New York mayor? Where would you make a specific trip where you're representing New Yorkers?
And yeah, because I remember this now. I remember somebody telling me about this. He said that he wouldn't go anywhere. He'd stay right there in New York. That's great rhetoric for somebody running for a public office. Like, that's great. It's amazing. So to sit there and be like, oh, well, he must be anti-Semitic. That's fucking crazy. I'm not going to lie.
All of them said Israel, except for Zoran Mamdani. And a lot of very strong Zionists said that's indicative that he is anti-Semitic. But I saw a lot of conservative populists, Charlie Kirk included, who said, hey, he's actually trying to speak to New Yorkers. He's saying that he cares about specifically the people that he will be governing, instead of just capitulating to the demands of the Democratic establishment who wanted him to say something like Israel, or who a majority of them were saying Israel. And I think that everyone can agree that that's an awesome value, and that's pro-American. That's America first.
Yeah, I think
it's also a real nigga response. What would you expect a real nigga to say? Oh, I'm gonna go to Israel and kiss the wall. Come on now. Real niggas gonna be like, nigga, I'm gonna stay here with my peoples. Think I'm running for office to go somewhere else? Nigga, the fuck? Come on now.
I think that value is America first, but I also think...
yeah, we can disagree on policy. I'm not saying that you have to endorse his character entirely. But I think that this notion that Zoran Mamdani would be cheering a 9/11, or Zoran Mamdani is inherently anti-Semitic, or Zoran Mamdani is going to prioritize Muslims over all of New Yorkers.
I mean, look at his record.
Zoran Mamdani is focusing on affordability, and that's affordability for all New Yorkers. It's not just for Muslims. It's not anti-Jew. He has built a multiracial coalition of working-class people where he has 90,000 volunteers. That is an army. That is more than most people in counties across the United States. And that is because he's building a multiracial coalition. It's not just Muslims. It's not people that are anti-Jews.
I don't even disagree with you that he's built a hell of a coalition.
Yeah. I don't... Why would you disagree with him, right?
No one can, obviously, right? But I think my issue with Mamdani is he's talking about price controls and all that. That doesn't happen. First of all, the state of New York has one of the highest costs of living in the country.
Yeah.
So if
Wait,
we were to
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. I want to talk about effectiveness, and you'll get the floor right after. Can we just go one by one saying whether or not he's un-American?
I think his policies are his
okay,
policies.
Let's say him as a person first, and then we'll go into.
I don't know enough about him. I'm not going to call him un-American or American. I'm not going to do that.
I'm going to say that he's pro-America.
I think he's pro-America for sure.
I don't know enough about him. I'm not going to.
The black guy, I like this guy because he's being intellectually honest right now. He's like, I don't know this nigga. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I don't know this nigga.
Somebody's going to have to tell the truth, and I'm going to tell it.
Like he's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. So props to him.
His values are inherently un-American.
Perfect. All right. Now we'll move on to effectiveness.
So, you look at price controls and you look at wanting to increase the corporate tax rate to accomplish this. More taxation only leads to more difficulty for the consumer in the end. So what I think should actually be the case, because what he's talking about is just great political jargon, but you're not going to fix prices in this.
That was a great point because it's the same thing like, fucking God. This is why I can't stand some of these people, right? It's the same thing when they talk about tariffs. Right? The left will tell you all day, oh, the tariffs, they end up going back to the consumer. What the fuck do you think happens when you tax the fucking corporations more? You think, oh, they're just gonna, oh, yeah, you know what? Just take this money, just give it to the government. We're not gonna up our prices or anything. Like, really? Come Come on now. But no, it's great point. Great point. That's true. Some of that's going to be passed on to the consumer. And you guys supposedly are against that. So why are you okay when it's a tax directly to American companies and not when it's a tax on literally other countries and their companies importing shit into ours?
We operate under. Fiat currency is causing the U.S. dollar. I mean, it has. The United States dollar
Back
has
to the
lost.
gold standard.
Well,
The fuck? Looks like YouTube glitched the fuck out. All right. 1 sec. Let's restart the app. Glitched the fuck out. Did I wild out too hard? I wild out too hard. YouTube was like, niggas getting too rowdy. You gotta shut them down. Gotta shut it down. Let's continue.
Gold standard.
Well, I mean, I brought it up in my debate with Destin. I'm going to bring it up again here. The fact is that as it stands right now, the U.S. dollar, and you can look this up, guys, the U.S. dollar has lost 97% of its purchasing power since the Federal Reserve, under the direction of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, with the Executive Order 61, I forget the number, but somebody put in the chat. When Franklin Delano Roosevelt took the United States off the gold standard in 1933 under the guise of trying to end the Depression, all he did was steal what little wealth Americans had left. Because now we can print money ad nauseum, and that only hurts the end consumer who is essentially taxed twice. So he can talk all that political jargon about, oh, we're going to price increases and price control.
Can't really argue against much of what he's saying.
Prices would drop when we don't print money ad nauseum. So all the rest of that he's talking about is political BS to me.
Yeah, and I actually want to talk.
Like, the only thing they would probably argue about is, well, oh, these programs offered, them certain benefits and they benefited from it or whatever. Like, that's probably what they say, but he's pretty right about, printing money and the resulting inflation. I mean, yeah, that's true.
Talk about Zoran's specific policy with freezing the rent, and AKA a rent control.
Right.
So I want to go to you because you left-wing populist. I assume you're a fan of Zoran's economic policy there. Can you give me the argument for a rent control?
Yeah, these are already rent-stabilized units, so it's not a rent control at large for all of the apartments in New York City, as I've seen a lot of conservatives caricature. These are already rent-stabilized apartments. He's saying that he's going to freeze the rent, which essentially means he will no longer allow rent hikes that are already affecting a majority of New Yorkers there. 52% of New Yorkers are rent burdened, which means that the cost is over 30% of the income.
And the thing is, in principle, right, I'm not necessarily against that. It's just that that's not really his call to make. Like, it's not. As much as people like to advocate for these policies, and I get it, people are suffering. Things are getting worse for people. Things like costs are going up. The government coming in and telling a business or a landlord that they can't charge a certain amount of rent, when the entire point a lot of the time is to either break even or make some kind of profit. Would you be surprised how many landlords are not making a profit? You coming in and telling them what they can charge is a crazy amount of control that I do not think the government should have over the economy. And and most people would say this. The only people who are typically in favor of policies like this are, totalitarians, fascists and communists who think that the government should have the control to just tell people what they're going to charge for their services or products.
That they generate. So this is something that is crippling New Yorkers. And if we want to have an actual working class that's able to actually work a lot of the jobs that don't require college degrees or don't require professionalism in New York City, we have to be able to make it affordable.
Sure.
And so he's not saying this is by and large going to fix the problem, but this is a Band-Aid that is needed specifically because of the increased heights.
Okay. So when it comes to rent, can you name a single place where a rent control has lowered has actually helped with affordability?
Yeah, we've seen in multiple different urban areas that this
is not true. If you,
what do you
let's look at the place where I go to college.
You can't even let me give an example.
Let's look at where I go to college. Let's look at Berkeley.
Wait, hold on. We got to start this little part over.
because of
funny.
the increased heights.
Okay, so when it comes to rent, can you name a single
I might have to speed this up a little bit more. It's just, oh, it slowed down again. That's why. Okay. Yeah, we had to restart. I forgot it slowed down.
place where a rent control has lowered the has actually helped with affordability?
Yeah, we've seen in multiple different urban areas that this
That's not true.
So, wait a minute. How you gonna ask the nigga to give you an example? He starts out, seems like he's ready to get to an example after he makes this claim. You just immediately, oh, that's not true or whatever. Wait until he gives you an example. Like, shit. Like, what the fuck? Shut up. I hate when niggas do that. You can't ask the question and not even let him really start answering it before you start telling him he wrong. Like, how you know he's wrong? He ain't even finished answering. He ain't even finished giving you the example. Jesus. Calm down, my guy.
If you, let's look at the place where I go to college.
You can even let me give an example.
Let's look at where I go.
He couldn't. He didn't just let him give the example. Like, nigga, what the fuck? Calm down, bro. Hold on. Wait your turn. You just asked him for an example and didn't let him give one. God damn.
I go to college. Let's look at Berkeley. Berkeley has one of, and it's not as bad as New York's is right now, but has a very bad problem with its rent controls. It has one of the strictest rent control policies in the nation. And what we see in Berkeley.
Nigga. Did he? Hold on. He didn't even let this nigga give the example. We just interrupted him.
Let me give an example.
Where rent control has lowered the has actually helped with affordability.
Yeah, we've seen in multiple different urban areas that this
That's not true. If you,
let's
look at the place where I go to college.
You can even let me give an example.
Let's look at where I go to college. Let's look at this has actually helped with affordability.
Yeah, we've seen in multiple different urban areas that this
That's not true. If you, let's look.
Since that's just not true. Nigga, you didn't let him give the example. Hold the fuck on. Wait. Shut the mate.
The place where I go to college.
You can even let me give an example.
Let's look at where I go to college. Let's look at Berkeley. Berkeley has one of, and it's not as bad as New York's is right now, but has a very bad problem with its rent controls. It has one of the strictest rent control policies in the nation. And what we see in Berkeley is we see a massive shortage of housing because that's what happens when you have rent control.
Right. Because, don't want to build. Because what's the focus?
So let me get through this real quick. The issues with rent control.
Nigga, he never even got to give the example. He's just trying to go on your spiel. Fuck. I probably agree with them more, but like, I hate this nigga. The black guy, he's a lot more cordial. He seems like he's a lot more intellectually honest. And even right now, like I can tell this screenshot, this nigga look like he's asleep. Hold on.
Is that it disincentivizes people from building new housing, which is the actual way.
Private developers.
Are his eyes just pointed downward? That nigga looks like he's asleep. He just fucking completely checked out. He's like, man, this is this nigga's argument.
Yes, it disincentivizes landlords from building new housing because it makes it unaffordable for them to rent out.
I guess he's just looking down, but it looked like he's asleep. It looked like that nigga's taking a nap.
Rent out these apartments. That's why you see in Berkeley only luxury apartments being built right now, and the city has just had a massive crisis with affordability of housing.
Can you tell the audience the difference between inelastic and elastic goods?
Yeah, so it's a main. The difference is the price in goods where it's where it's necessary for people to buy. But they're always going to need it.
It's an inelastic need is a need that you have to. In other words, gas is in it. There's an inelastic demand for gas. You have to have gas.
Yeah, you're always going to
housing. That's it. And so I mean,
so housing specifically is something, regardless of how expensive it is, people are going to pay for it. So the point is, for inelastic goods, there should be a prioritization on getting the resources to people rather than just allow.
That is true. People need housing. It's a necessity. So, yeah, there's always going to be people paying for it. There's always going to be a demand for housing. Otherwise, in other words,
allowing private developers to continue to profit off a system that is built on necessity. That's the point here. So when Keith and I are talking about things like rent control, that's part of a broader structure to decommodify housing for a specific portion of the population. Now, does that mean we all get luxury apartments where we have balconies and we have a backyard? Not everybody's saying that. But what we're saying is there should be more of a prioritization on specific housing that is not geared towards the profit of.
Why do we want it to be decommodified? And it's like, I actually don't have a problem with a significant amount of housing being commodified or being a commodity. Because on one end, like, yeah, sure, it's a necessity. People need housing. And I don't even really have a problem with providing housing to people who like really need it. and just need some kind of basic place to live. But then, if we're talking about like fancy luxury apartments, condos, whatever the fuck, it's like, I mean, those probably should be commodities. I mean, like, there's a bare minimum that you need, but like if you're trying to live in luxury, you're trying to be a little bit more comfortable, like, I mean, yeah, that's, you're asking for more, like you want more, and it's only fair that the person providing it to you charge you for it. It's like,
of land developers or private institutions. And that's what Zoran's rent freeze is a first step in moving towards. Is Zoran going to fix every problem in New York City? No. Is he going to get a majority of his agenda done within the first year, within the first 2 years? Probably not. I don't even know if he'll get all of it through his administration. But the point is, he is leading with a vision that says the impossible, that's called the impossible, is something that we should be striving for. And I'm not just going to give crumbs when people in New York City are already failing to the affordability crisis and can't provide their families with essential resources. But then that's the point.
Well, and to the, I mean, I don't disagree with that premise. I think that I'm someone that is a big proponent of the universal basic income plan that Dr. King was a fan of, which was promoted by a Republican administration in Nixon, by the way.
oh shit. Is that true? I've heard this before. But that's interesting. So he's for universal basic income.
Because as a Christian, God's children should always have a place to eat and a place to lay their head. We're commanded to do.
Hold on. I want to hear exactly what he said, because we're gonna search this up. For anybody that's not familiar with this,
is a big proponent of the universal basic income plan that Dr. King was a fan of, which was promoted by a Republican administration in Nixon, by the way. Because as a Christian,
so he's saying that universal basic income was promoted by Republicans. He's saying this is a Republican policy. Is UBI originally, I think that's what he's saying, is that it was originally a Republican policy. So like, we'll just search it. Let's ask the Google demons. Let's see, what are you talking about? Yeah, Martin Luther King. Let's see. Was UBI proposed by the Nixon administration? I think that's what he said, right? Hey, yo, man, cut it out. Oh. Yes, the Nixon administration proposed a form of universal basic income with the Family Assistance Plan in 1969, which aimed to provide minimal income to families with children. This plan was a significant proposal for a guaranteed income and passed the House of Representatives, but ultimately failed to pass the Senate. So he's correct here. This was the only part I hadn't heard before. I'd heard the part about MLK, but I did not know that Nixon actually tried to get this passed in the House and it failed in the Senate, or it passed in the House and failed in the Senate. And if we're talking about that specific one, like the Family Assistance Plan for people with children, it's kind of crazy. Like, how did that fail? How did that fail? I actually understand, because he said he was a conservative populist. I mean, yeah, like, why would you not incentivize people to have families? That's a huge incentive to start a family. So I definitely get why he said what he just said. And they seemed like they found some common ground. Nice to see.
God's children should
But like I said, I like this guy. I think he's being a lot more intellectually honest here.
Always have a place to eat and a place to lay their head. We're commanded to do that as Christians. But at the same time, you have to
He's doing a good job.
Find a balance between the profit motive of the landlord and the affordability of the housing to everyone's point at this time.
Yeah, I'm not calling for a land seizure. I don't
Well, that's
think
what
we should go
my question
malice.
to
But the
you.
point is-
No, my question directly to you, Mason, is how do you find that balance? You spoke about the decommodification of housing.
Yeah.
But at some point, that's going to impact both the consumer and the landlord. So how do you mitigate?
Well,
that? I guess that'd be my question.
That's true.
Yeah, the point is, and I appreciate you asking the question, the point is that tenants for too long have been completely ignored. It has always been for the profit of the landlord.
Yes.
It has always been, how do we make sure that private...
I'm not rocking with that one.
developers developers are going to maximize the output that they have for what's going on in a particular geographical region. What we should be focusing on is how we make tenants livable, how we allow a society that is required on the underclass of people who are working these menial jobs that I know so often conservatives like to dismiss. These people need places to live. If you are going to work in New York City and you are going to be a service worker, you need to be able to live in New York City.
Right.
So the priority is making sure that these people can actually live in those places, as opposed to just the profits of private developers.
Well, the best way to do that and make it so that there's a bigger supply of housing is to make it to incentivize private developers to come in and actually produce affordable housing.
It doesn't have to be just private developers.
Let me get through this point real quick. And because the point there is that when you have rent control places like in Berkeley, the only exception that usually is for luxury apartments. So what private developers will do, because they're not going to come in and make a place that's going to be rent controlled, because they're not going to make money.
Yeah, the only exception is for luxury. Yeah, and kind of what I was talking about earlier.
Off of it, they come in and they make luxury apartments that people can't afford. That's the problem with rent controls, is that it limits the supply of housing, when the best way to bring down the price of any good is to increase the supply of it. So what we should be focused on is making housing more plentiful. We should be focused on creating zones and making it so that people can actually produce housing.
This is a good argument. This is probably the best argument he's made so far. I wish he had started with this, but I guess they kind of had to get in the weeds first before he was able to really get into it. But I like this argument. He's correct. The more supply, less demand, technically. And they're going to be, if there's more housing available, it would pretty much have to be cheaper. And then at that point, the only real expensive places are going to be like those luxury places, and the places that are, you could say, less in supply, right? Like luxury apartments, even if there are a ton of regular apartments, luxury apartments are still going to be a lot more rare.
Controls and price controls in general have shown time and time again not to work because they limit the supply of housing.
Well, then we have to. I would actually.
It might even make luxury apartments cheaper to incentivize people to not just go for a regular apartment, but hey, look at our fairly priced luxury apartment over here. Maybe you want this instead. All right.
I would actually throw this in there just to enhance the conversation as well. President Donald Trump has been working to lower the price and put a cap on the price of medications like insulin and things of that nature. So we see a multiplicity of instances where Republican and Democratic administrations set price controls, ceilings, or floors for given drugs or commodities. So the real question to me would be, why have...
That's a good point. That's a good point.
We not tackled this as a nation from a top-down perspective? Because Mamdani doesn't have to make the statement that we're going to try to raise the tax rate on corporations, raise the tax rate to do this, that, and the third, if there's not first at the federal level something being done to accomplish both tasks. Increase the supply of homes, which is absolutely necessary to kill.
So he's saying Mamdani realistically really shouldn't even have to do this. We should have some other solution to get this result from a top-down level. We should be able to find some other way, or we should have already been able to come to some agreement on something we can do to get that to happen without directly controlling it, or even if it is some kind of direct control, because like he said, they still do stuff like that. It's not like the government doesn't do this kind of overreach all the time. It's not like they don't try to control aspects of the market. Now, a lot of conservatives would argue that's anti-free trade and they don't want the government that involved in the economy, but I mean, it's still a reality, and they could still do something, maybe even just indirectly, right?
To kill the homeless problem in this country. But at the very same time, we have to also incentivize the American worker and fund the American worker's pocket to be able to afford housing. We have to kill two birds.
Yeah, and I think this is a big part of why Mamdani's campaign has been so successful, is because he's generating energy on people identifying where these problems lie. It's no longer people are blindly going into whatever is given to them and saying, okay, I'm going to have to deal with this. He's specifically pointing at areas of problems, which is the lack of political will in order to get affordable housing. Okay. That's not just through prioritizing private developers to continue to profit. It's also through non-profitable means of building infrastructure and building public infrastructure.
So this
another part is and another part of it is specifically transportation, which we haven't even talked on. Another key pillar of his campaign is free and fast busing. Do you guys know one of the most successful examples of free transportation in Southern California? I know none of you are from here.
I'm not from
yeah. So I'll say Laguna Beach. Laguna Beach actually has a bus infrastructure within the entire city that is free. You walk on, you go to your destination, and you get off. And there are reports from
Interesting.
a array of different economists that say for every dollar that's spent on making public transportation public, which means the public's able to use it, $4 to $5 goes back into the local economy. And that's because people are actually spending it at the shops, the commerce areas that these buses are taking them to. On the
Right. So they're actually contributing to the economy because they're allowing people to be able to get back and forth, which allows them to participate in the economy a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, he's good point.
The second point is, everyone always says that the free busing is just it's just going to allow unhoused people to just take over the buses and they're going to sleep on there, blah, 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 blah. It's only done for poor areas. Well, in Laguna Beach, if you look at the median house price, these are not poor people. They can definitely afford a bus fare. The reason why they don't do it is because it just makes it more convenient for everybody. You get on, you get off at your location, it makes it faster so people aren't having to fiddle with their tap cards, which can increase 2 minutes per person. Sometimes it takes up to 7-8 minutes just for the bus to get everybody on, and that just creates inefficiency.
Yeah, and on the transportation thing, I'm not going to get into the economics of it because it'll be a long-winded debate. We're kind of running low on time. My big issue with Zoran's free busing policy was just how he sold it the other day. He sold the free busing policy as being able to lower the amount of assaults in New York. I mean, what
bad selling point.
Yeah. How are we selling this policy of free busing, which I would consider economically?
Well, yeah, that's not really a good way to sell that. I'd have to agree with him there. It's a bad way to sell it because it's like, well, maybe you could just clean up the streets. Like, why are people being assaulted so much anyway? It's like the buses are your solution?
Literate. But how are we selling this policy?
Laguna Beach is
how are we selling this policy
Republican
as a policy that's going to lower the amount of assaults? We're saying that the solution to people assaulting
Yeah, that's weird. That's really weird.
bus drivers is just let them on the bus. I mean, what a ridiculous statement.
I haven't said much. I'm just going to say this because I'm not really a policy person. I just know I come from a working class family, and many of my relatives just cannot make enough, and there's not enough to get around. And I don't know what the solution is, but what's happening?
Wait, what? They can't make enough? There's not enough to go around, is what you said?
Right now is unsustainable, and it's one of the reasons why Donald Trump is president, because it is unaffordable, and no one is talking about the fact that that people feel like they cannot make it a week, and when you're living like that, it is completely anxiety-inducing. And I think un-American to allow so much suffering happening in this country. So I don't know what the solution is to any of this stuff.
I'm not even going to address what he just said. I don't know if it's worth addressing.
I'm glad there's going to be someone trying something different, because it could work.
In post-2024, the Democratic Party has had some of the lowest approval ratings that they've had in modern American history.
As they should.
They were not valued by the American people. A lot of people didn't see them as a vision for the future. And yet, in spite of that, we see somebody that's able to galvanize so many different people across ideology. This is not just the most far lefties that are loving Zoran. There are Trump districts in New York City that have swung significantly conservative that are emphatic about this guy. And the reason is because he's speaking to the affordability crisis that's facing New Yorkers.
Also,
and that is what's going to unify people, is economic justice.
I do think we all understand that America...
I mean, he probably did flip some conservatives, but I doubt he's like flipping conservatives because of his policies or anything. Like, can we even really call them conservatives if that's the case? I mean, I don't know.
For most people, is unaffordable. I think how we get there is up for discussion, but I'm glad that we all agree that for most Americans, this is not a country that's working for them right now.
Trump is going to be president in 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan, and President Trump will be the president in 28.
Seeking a third Trump presidential term would be an egregious abuse of power.
They took the video of Steve Bannon saying that shit. The thing is, just because Trump can't run, right, doesn't mean he can't win the election. Am I wrong? You can write in who you want to win for president, can't you? I'm just saying. Trump doesn't have to attempt to run for people to vote for him. Theoretically, I think he could become president again. Like, let's again, right? Let's ask the Google demons. Like, could Trump become president if everyone wrote him in? Like, this is something I really want to. I never thought about this before. Because I think it's that you can't run. I don't think it's that you can't take office if everybody just decides to vote for you, even though you didn't run. Like, I'm pretty sure. Wouldn't that be a crazy loophole? So I'm gonna ask the Google demons. Could Trump be president again if people wrote him in? Let's check it out. Let's see what the Google demons say. Up. Okay. I was wrong. It looks like even if they wrote him in, he is ineligible to be elected to the office of president more than twice. I don't know. Is that how that works? Hold on, let's see. The 22nd Amendment to the U.S. Constitution states no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. Is that what it says? This prohibition applies whether the terms are consecutive or non-consecutive. Trump has already been elected president once and is currently in his second term, so he is barred from being elected a third time. Even if millions of people wrote in his name, these votes would not count toward an official victory because a candidate must be constitutionally eligible to serve. Yeah. And I mean, like the Electoral College and everything, they probably wouldn't even let that happen, right? But winning as a write-in candidate is practically impossible. Yeah, sure. That's not the point, though. Yeah, state rules, Electoral College, of course, I knew it. Ineligibility. Okay. That makes sense. I mean, I kind of knew that was the answer already. I just wanted to see what the AI would say. But again, like, if people wanted him to be president again, they said seeking a third Trump presidential term would be an egregious abuse of power. Like, sure, if he was seeking it, sure. But that's not true for other people wanting it. So.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. First of all, I'll say he shouldn't. But I think that President Trump's made his kind of comments clear in recent days when he was asked about kind of the most popular one is the whole, if he runs for vice president, becomes president. He says, I don't want to do that. Mike Johnson's met with him and he said that Trump is not running for a third term. The only manner in which it's being applied that Trump feasibly could, even though he wouldn't, would be if Congress would repeal the 22nd Amendment. That's the only method that he would actually even have to do it. But even he has kind of said in statements that he's not going to run for a third term, that it's going to be likely Vance Rubio is what he suggested. So I think that to suggest it being an egregious abuse of power, I mean, the only way he would actually do it is through constitutional means. There's precedent for presidents doing it in the past through constitutional means.
That's true.
I mean, if there's an amendment that happens, then it's not unconstitutional just by definition.
Yeah.
So I think that you're weaseling your way out of the question. We're saying that if he ran.
Wait. Hold on. I'm going to have to steel man his argument real quick because he made a good point, right? And he just agreed. If Trump seeks a third term, saying that him simply seeking a third term and seeking to even get Congress to somehow change this amendment so that he can run, I don't know if you could argue that that's an abuse of power at all. It's within his power, and technically it's not within his power. So if he has to rely on some other people doing it for him, again, he's not abusing his power. They're not even abusing their power. They're just using their power. They're using the powers that they've been granted in a completely reasonable way. Now, you might not like it because you don't want him to be president again, but that doesn't mean it's an abuse of power. So I don't think and somebody seeking a third term again, we know what seeking means, searching, looking for, when they looking, hoping that this could happen. maybe trying to work towards it or whatever. Like, just because he wants to have a third term and he's technically not allowed to, doesn't mean he's abusing his power. That's not how that works. That's not what abuse of power means.
If he ran, that would be an incredible abuse of power because he knows that it's anti-constitutional and thereby un-American.
What? First of all, it's not anti-constitutional to seek to want to change something in the Constitution. That's not anti-constitutional. Anti-constitutional is saying, hey, let's just fuck off with this entire Constitution and do what the fuck I want to do. Right? Attempting to use the Constitution is not anti-constitutional. It just doesn't make any sense. And then the whole being anti-constitutional is anti-American or un-American. Like, no. I think there were a lot of Americans, even in early America, who weren't for the Constitution or had significant issues with the Constitution and things in the Constitution. I mean, there was a whole, you know, if you're familiar with the Federalists and Anti-Federalists, I mean, they were arguing about how much power the federal government should even have. And at the time, I think we started out with like the Articles of Confederation. The Constitution was different. It's changed a lot over time. And the idea that somebody disagrees with the Constitution makes them un-American, or wanting to change something in the Constitution makes them un-American. It's like we arguably wouldn't have an America if that was true. Like damn near nobody would be an American.
What I'm saying is that the only manner in which he actually runs for a third term is if he does it constitutional.
That's not what Bannon is saying.
No, there's nothing in the Constitution that says Trump can't run for a third term. It says he can't be elected.
Right.
He could run. And you think it would be okay for him to run?
Well, because he can't be elected. Well, I guess he could run. And I think he could run like independent. He could technically run independent and fund his own campaign, right? He just wouldn't be able to be elected. I mean, that's technically true. He could still run.
I mean, that's pretty much the same thing.
No, it's not.
He can't be elected.
No, running.
It is pretty much the same thing. But the guy he might kind of be making a good point here.
For president is a political process. Being elected president is a different thing. So Donald Trump could be on a primary ballot.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think with the way that the system works, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think that you can I don't think you would be allowed to enter the election because I'm pretty sure you have to register and everything. I don't think they would even allow him to like register and actually run. I don't think they would allow him to run because he can't be elected. So it's like, why would they waste any of their time and resources, including him in there, when they know that even if people voted for him, he wouldn't be able to actually take the office? I don't think that they would actually allow him to do it. So the other guy might be right, where it's like, it's kind of the same thing, because if you're not electable, they're not going to allow you to run for the election, which means that you can't run.
And he could play a game of chicken with everyone else. There is that. No, you're looking at me like you're confused.
Yeah, I don't understand.
So let me. No, well, what I'm describing to you is that Donald Trump could say he's running for a third term. He could announce.
Like if he actually thinks that this could be something that could happen without changing some rules, like I really don't understand what he really thinks could happen. Like the other guys, I think, right, that it's essentially the same thing. I don't think they would let him run
in November, and he would not be going against the Constitution. The only thing it says.
But the thing is, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. He couldn't be elected.
Person cannot be elected. No person can be elected or president elected. Right. So he could play a game of chicken.
Which implies
I don't know. I don't know if he could file like the federal paperwork.
The Constitution explicitly states that any person ineligible to the office of president is also ineligible to the office of vice president.
Well, no. What the Supreme Court did when I believe it was Colorado, who tried to kick him off the ballot because of the 14th Amendment that says that he's an insurrectionist. The Supreme Court actually ruled and said they are not allowed to determine.
Right,
that Congress is supposed to determine.
Wait. Hold on. Because I think did the other guy just say something about vice president? Now that I think about it, hold on. There might be a way that this could happen. Is he allowed to run as somebody's vice president? Or is that what the guy was saying? Not allowed to do that?
to the office of president is also ineligible to the office of vice president.
Well,
It
no,
explicitly says that.
what the
So-
Supreme
Okay. Yeah. So he wouldn't even be able to do that. He wouldn't be able to like run as somebody's vice president, and then if something happened to them or they stepped down, he couldn't just like take the office of president after that, right?
Supreme Court did when I believe it was Colorado, who tried to kick him off the ballot because of the 14th Amendment that says that he's an insurrectionist. The Supreme Court actually ruled and said they are not allowed to determine
Right,
that.
that's fine.
Congress is supposed to determine eligibility.
Well, but to that point,
So he could actually.
Kind of. I mean, that wasn't really the full ruling. The full ruling is that it lies with the federal system.
Wait, the state's Congress?
Ruled and said they are not allowed to determine
Right,
that.
that's fine.
Congress is supposed to determine eligibility.
Well, but to that point,
So he could actually.
Kind of. I mean, that
Well, let's
wasn't really the full ruling. The full ruling is that it lies with the federal system. So you could just, I mean.
Well, so that he could run.
So I mean,
Yeah.
how would feasibly go if you're talking about this?
Yeah, the federal law supersedes. Yeah.
Which won't happen. Would be if we were to file paperwork, it'd probably get challenged to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would rule whether or not it'd be constitutional. When they would rule that.
the problem is this. This is just pure political theater. President Trump has said repeatedly he is not a king. He will not seek.
Yeah. Yeah. The nigga doesn't seem like he wants to run or cares to be president anymore after this. I think really the only reason he ran this time was to prove a point. I don't think he wants to be president anymore. Probably doesn't even want to be now.
Seek a third term. And if he in fact did, I would be one that would use my platform to say get him out of the White House.
I have a question.
I think you're truthful about that. It seems that though, like I think the biggest alarm is that he's entertaining the idea. Like, of course he said that he won't do it. I know that he's never said he's going
I
to.
don't think he's actually entertaining the idea though. Like, why do we always take him so seriously now? It's like, I don't think anybody ever did that before he ran for president. Now it's like every single thing the nigga says we take seriously. Like, come on now, bro.
Do it, but you know, like selling Trump 2028 hats in the White House, making this like a focal point of like rallies and campaigns, like I'll be president forever, like vote for me once and then you'll never have to vote again, like a lot of that stuff.
But
is just
I guess
not
I would.
good for the office.
I would take it as a joke because he loves to troll, and I do think sometimes he just likes to say things to get a rise out of
He's
people.
trolling.
Thank you. Some honesty. Thank you. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. A little bit of honesty. Like, come on.
But he didn't want to leave when he lost
He
in
left
2020. He didn't want to.
on January 20th. He left office.
He did not want to.
Yeah, but if Mike Pence went along with denying the electorate,
So to
he
me,
would-
it's
he wouldn't
like
have left.
I mean, if
the
it's
best
a
way
50-50
to determine.
He didn't want to because as far as he's concerned, they rigged the election and he actually won. But when you say he didn't want to, it's like he still fucking did it. He still fucking did it.
How someone's going to act in the future is by looking how they acted in the past. The only time that Donald Trump has lost an election, Donald Trump did not want to leave on his own accord. He did leave because
God. He did leave on his own accord. They didn't like fucking drag him out of the White House with fucking soldiers. Like, come on, bro.
he tried
Jesus.
every other way.
We got this small amount of honesty. And now we're just back to the dishonest shit.
He went through the legal process.
No, also, I mean,
And I think you guys are right that he left, right? Which is admitting that the election wasn't stolen. If the election was legitimately stolen, he should
That
be.
is not. What? Again, we're back to the fucking dishonesty. We're back to the fucking. And the thing is, he was being pretty fair. Most of this time, he was being pretty fair. Now we're just like, bro, are we serious right now? Are we serious right now?
Be fighting in there and trying to galvanize the U.S. military to stop the overturn of the rightful president.
I mean,
and
that's
there's
not
a
what we
reason.
do in this country. You don't have violent revolutions against the other side. Donald Trump
If the election was
respected-
stolen,
Donald Trump went and
that
respected the
denies
process.
that denies the people. It's not a process if it's undermined by unintegrity.
But Mason, once again, that doesn't matter. He left in 2020.
No.
It
I
does
still
matter.
does
It
matter.
does
The point why
But no, it doesn't. He's allowed to challenge the election. Jesus, come on now. Like, are we acting like they're not allowed to challenge the fucking election? If you thought somebody was fucking cheating in a competition that you were competing against them in and they supposedly won, you would want people to check that. You would challenge that victory. Come the fuck on now. That's why they have like judges and shit and chess tournaments and shit. Like, come on, come the fuck on.
why we keep bringing it up, right? Like, I'm not even fixated on January 6th. Like, I think that was egregious, but I think Republicans have shown, like, we don't really give a shit, so we don't even have to talk about that. But what I'm saying is, we know that Donald Trump knows that the election wasn't stolen. One, because he's admitted it twice. But two,
when did he admit that?
Oh my God.
He admitted it with it was an interview with the 60 Minutes. He said, "I lost by a whisker. I lost by a whisker. Look it up. Look up Donald Trump. I lost by a whisker."
No, because
You'll
also
find
look
it.
up the MSNBC interview where she said, "Mr. President, will you concede that you lost 2020?" He said, "I'm not going to concede it."
Exactly. That's the flip flop of him
Well,
not
no,
having proper
well, that's
integrity.
why, but that's why I said, and I'm going to be clear here.
This is so dumb. Doesn't mean he actually thinks he lost. Just like he said, the nigga, just because he will not concede, Hillary Clinton didn't concede either. Instead, they came up with the whole fucking conspiracy about him being a fucking Russian asset and a whole bunch of other shit. They didn't do what he did, but they challenged the election like anybody is allowed to do. Like, this is one of the most annoying talking points you hear from Democrats and people on the left. Because I don't really care who it is. Like, I don't really like any of these politicians to begin with, but I'm not going to pretend like the system doesn't allow them to challenge elections. Like, it's so stupid.
I am not going to make the definitive claim one way or the other that the 2020 election was stolen or that it wasn't. I'm not personally going to do it.
Why would you not make that claim?
Because I'm just not going to do it. I absolutely do.
He said, to be honest, like, right, he's being intellectually honest. He's not going to make a claim that he can't substantiate. Like, if he can't defend the claim, he's not going to make the claim. He's being smart. He's being honest. Nothing wrong with that. Which is, again, he's my favorite person in this debate right now. Because he's just being honest about what he believes. He's being clear about what he will and won't say. And it's refreshing, honestly. He's the only person, for the most part, on this panel that's really surprised me. He's half the reason I'm still watching this right now.
Why would you not fight for your country's integrity?
You're saying I'm not going to do it. You're not going to make a definitive claim.
Because the reason I'm not going to do it, I have not sat.
Yeah, first of all, he doesn't have to. Who the fuck are you?
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Like, who is this nigga? Fuck, you don't have to say that shit. It's not even really relevant to what you're talking about.
Sat and combed through all available.
Well, let me tell you.
Fucking red herring. He's supposed to answer the fucking red herring. Like, what the fuck?
The people who have the courts have
Republican and Democrat
have all said there's no evidence, or they have dismissed.
Is Brian Kemp unpatriotic?
Brian Kemp?
Yeah.
The governor of Georgia?
Yeah, you should know.
I do know Brian Kemp. I wouldn't say he's unpatriotic. No.
All right, and he specifically said, Donald Trump, you lost the election.
Okay, and that's fine. Again,
that's not a woke Democrat. That's not a trans.
I understand that.
Okay. What? So what? Fuck.
But again,
you are actively hurting our democracy when you don't accept the result of an election.
I accept that Donald Trump left the White House in 2020.
No,
I
but
accept that Joe
you
Biden.
are actively hurting. You are undermining everyone's trust. You have a big platform.
I'm not undermining anything.
Yes.
I'm making a statement. What I'm doing, Keith. Hold on.
You
are.
Hold on. No, because this is really important.
It is important. The reason I'm not going to say it is because when
Bro, the tactics right now. He's just pulling tactics right now. This is disgusting. This is fucking nasty work right now.
I use when I take my time and conduct my own.
Well, why wouldn't you have if you don't know?
How do you know I'm not doing that right now, Keith?
Because
How do you know I haven't made it? How do you know I have all I've?
If he doesn't know either which way whether it's true, why the fuck would he make a definitive claim? He can't make a definitive claim. It's like, is this guy actually retarded? What's going on? What is going on?
I've said is I have not yet made the claim.
It's been 5 years.
And you know what? The beauty of being an independent investigator doing your own investigation is you're not on anybody's timeline.
I'll say one more thing.
So when I am able.
All right. So you're not. All right. So you're not saying whether or not the 2020
Look, man, there's nothing wrong with what he said at all.
election was stolen is because you haven't personally looked into it, and you're going to do that at some point in the future.
I'm in the process of doing that.
You're in the process.
Yes. Yes. Why can't he be in the process of doing it?
Of determining, and then you will know for sure.
I want to say one last thing. I promise I won't talk about.
He might never know for sure. He might be in the process of doing that his entire life. Why does that matter? It's irrelevant.
2020 election for the entirety of the video.
They love 2020. They love January 6th.
No, no. Sorry, I'm gonna let you talk. No,
They do. He's right. He's right. This is the most that other niggas ever spoke up. They love this fucking topic. They love it.
I'll let you talk in just a second. Sorry, I didn't talk about his
It's like their like favorite argument for Trump as a fascist. Oh, January, you see what happened January 6th. He didn't want to concede the election. Oh. Like it's Oh, it's fucking painful to even watch, bro. That shit's so irritating.
Once, okay, but it's actually one of the most critical moments in American history.
Yes, yes.
Because the sitting president tried to undermine our elections. And because of that, people do not trust our elections. And because of that, we now do not live in...
Nigga, how many people even trusted our elections to begin with? I'm pretty sure the majority of Americans don't really trust our elections. Let's come the fuck on. Everybody, at least in the back of their mind, is like, is this really legit? Like, it's not because Trump isn't the reason that people are questioning the legitimacy of our democracy. Come the fuck on, bro. Come the fuck on.
In a society
what are we doing
I
here?
believe trusts our democracy.
This is not, Keith, you act like this is the first time in American history that election results have been called into question. Does anyone...
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Like, come on. This nigga's on fire right now. I'm not gonna lie. He's everything he's saying is basically correct.
Anyone remember 2000? I know I was a child back then, but I mean, do we remember what happened in Florida?
What did Al Gore do again?
All I'm saying, no,
Like,
all I'm
a
saying
month
is,
after the election?
all I'm saying is that when we speak about election integrity,
Got it.
all I'm saying is that when we, yes, he did. All I'm saying is that when we speak about election integrity, all I'm saying is when we speak about election integrity, I have the right to investigate something of my own religion. Again, I didn't say it was or was not stolen. I have not made a claim either positive or negative.
Here's my last point on this whole thing. We have two different camps right here.
Which is the smartest thing to do. If we're talking about logic, this is a logical analysis. There is nothing illogical or even morally wrong with him not making a claim that he can't substantiate. If he's still looking for more information to decide whether either happened, and he's not ready to actually come to a conclusion on the matter, or maybe he doesn't think he'll come to a conclusion on the matter, and he's literally telling you he doesn't know, how the fuck can you be upset about that? Unless you believe one of the other sides and you want him to join a side, which is typically how people are. They want you to pick a side. Well, he has no side to pick. He's like, I don't have enough evidence. There's nothing wrong with that. That's completely logical. It's intellectually honest, which is why this guy is a breath of fresh air. This is the first time in a while I've seen somebody argue like this, especially on Jubilee, that wasn't like a big content creator.
Here. The 2020 election, let's say it was stolen. Let's say Keith and I are these woke wingbats who are defending a stolen election because we're unpatriotic and we hate America. If that is the political reality, the Republican Party should be doing everything to jail all Democrats who are saying that the election wasn't stolen, because that is directly undermining the American people by saying that Joe Biden is an illegitimate president, worked as an illegitimate president for 4 years. That is something that was taken away from the person who rightfully should have been in the Oval Office.
To Mason's point is that I guess if someone did steal the election, who was it? How did it happen? Where are the criminals? Why has no one been arrested for stealing the election?
All y'all responded. I mean, I would say that Donald Trump, and when he's going...
Or first of all, he didn't say nobody stole the election. Now, I don't know if the other guy said that. Maybe he's going to argue that. But it's like, who are you talking to? He just told you he doesn't know whether the election was stolen. He'd be like, oh, if it was stolen, somebody would have been arrested. Bro, they didn't even investigate. They threw the cases out. So how the fuck is somebody going to be arrested if they're not even investigating? What the fuck are we doing?
When he went to office, he said that they were going to investigate it. And it's only been, what? I don't think it's been a year. So we have a DOJ who's investigating the 2020 election, probably. And I'm sure that...
Yeah, and if he's investigating it now with his resources as the president, he hasn't even finished his investigation yet. Right? So, like, the government really... Nobody's actually really made any rulings on this. They threw it out. I'm not on anybody's side. This is a logical analysis. Low taxes and liberty. This is a logical analysis. Now, I do agree more with the conservative side, obviously, but I mean, we're just looking at argumentation here. Go fuck myself because I'm not on either of their side. I mean, sure, I guess.
That if there's evidence that comes up of a coordinated effort to commit fraud, that they would release it. But we had 4 years of a Biden DOJ who obviously wouldn't be investigating it if this were to happen.
This was brought to every court across the country for every single...
I'm on the black guy's side. Forget what his name was, but I'm on his side because he's the only person being really, truly intellectually honest here.
single contested state.
I mean,
His debate partner isn't too bad, but I don't really like him. I don't really like his arguments.
there was just no world where you're going to gather enough evidence to overturn an election in the weeks after.
How do you think it's that easy to cover up an election fraud?
The Kennedy assassination has been covered up for decades.
Oh Lord.
So you don't want to do that.
This nigga's cooking. He is cooking, bro. Hands down. This guy's he's my favorite. He's my favorite I've ever seen on Jubilee. This nigga's cooking. He got a good response for everything so far.
The States federal government was found guilty of assassinating Martin Luther King in a civil trial.
It's like talking
So
to
this
a wall,
idea,
y'all.
this
You guys-
idea.
the thing is, you
hold
guys
on,
are
wait a
in
minute,
power.
wait
You
a
guys
minute.
have the power.
So
You have
here's
the
the thing,
Congress,
Mason.
you have the
So here's the
judiciary,
thing.
and
Wait
you have
a
the
minute,
executive.
wait a
And
minute.
So what? It still takes time. Like what? It's just because you have power in the government, the executive branch, the judicial branch, you don't really. Well, they do have the majority in the Supreme Court, I think, right now. So just because you have the branches doesn't mean it doesn't take time to get what you want to get through. It still takes time. You still like, especially if you're actually using the process. Like even if you were to sign an executive order and people were going to enforce that order, it still takes time for them to do that. That's not an overnight process. And depending on how complicated it is, it might be a years-long process. Who knows?
you can't concede a 2020 election.
When it's being
So
investigated.
again, I'm not saying no. Again, I am not against
hurts me.
conceding it. Well, I'm sorry. But listen, facts over feelings for me personally. So I am going to use my investigation.
And again, like exactly, this is a logical analysis. Facts over feelings, logic over rhetoric. We're examining logic here. He is the most logical person sitting at this table, from what we can see right now.
Investigative brain to do my own investigation.
You say facts over feelings, and you're putting all of your feelings over every piece
Not
of
at all.
evidence that's brought
Not at
to
all.
every court case.
How is this feelings? What court cases?
I have not,
Argument 2020
Mason, I'm literally sitting here telling you, I have not fully examined every piece of evidence.
There's a new Pentagon press pool.
Like how is that? Like how's that emotional? How is that feelings? He's just like I haven't examined enough. I don't know enough. Like it's like what? That's intellectual honesty, which it doesn't seem you're very familiar with. Like when he started out, you know, he was making some fairly good arguments. But now we've entered like bad faith mode. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on.
The new Corps is made up of groups and individuals who agreed to a new press policy put in place
So we
by
got a new
Defense
prompt?
Secretary Pete Hegseth. Nearly all long-standing news outlets, including CNN, rejected the very restrictive policy and turned in their press passes.
Pete Hegseth's new Pentagon press mandate and the new press corps are harmful to the integrity of American journalism.
Pete Hegseth's new Pentagon press mandate and the new press corps are harmful to the integrity of American journalism. Sure, you might be able to argue that, but you would kind of have to be assuming that American journalism still has any real integrity. Like, there are certain journalists who have integrity, but I don't think this is what is going to harm the integrity of American journalism. But I guess if you just wanted to assess whether the argument could be made or not, I'm sure he could make the argument. All you would really need to do is prove that there is, or demonstrate that there's some amount of harm that would come to the integrity of American journalism, which is kind of like a vague idea anyway. But yeah, it wouldn't necessarily be hard to argue as long as you have some kind of evidence.
Yeah, you guys want to say why you like it a lot?
Sure. Well, I'll say first of all, I think it's important to understand what this new mandate was. So there was three main categorical changes in the mandate. First of all, that the press can't just roam freely around the Pentagon anymore, that they need to have an escort, which makes sense. Why wasn't that a thing before? Second of all, that the press need to wear identifiable badges so you can identify that the press and not actual workers of the Pentagon. Again, why wasn't that a thing
Okay.
before? And third of all, that the press can no longer solicit, illegal information being leaked to them, aka.
Okay, so let's make sure we're getting all these points clear.
Main categorical changes in the mandate. First of all, that the press can't just roam freely around the Pentagon anymore, that they need to have an escort, which.
So they can't just roam freely around the Pentagon. That they were allowed to do that? That's kind of crazy.
Makes sense. Why wasn't that a thing before? Second of all, that the
so I'm just like, what? They were allowed to do that?
press need to wear identifiable badges so you can identify that they're press and not actual workers of the Pentagon. Again, why wasn't that a thing before?
Yeah. All of this just sounds like it should have already been a thing.
And third of all, that the press can no longer solicit, illegal information being leaked to them, aka classified documents. Again, why was that not a thing anymore?
Solicit illegal information. I don't even like. I don't like the term illegal information. It sounds 1984-ish. But I'm pretty sure he's just talking about classified information. Which, I mean, technically they would be encouraging people to break the law, but I'm not fully against that. It's like, I'm like, some of the only ways we find out what the government is up to is because people leak. And I guess you could argue that incentivizing or paying someone to commit a crime is almost equivalent to committing the crime yourself. So I could see where they're coming from with it. Because ultimately, like, even if I'm kind of okay with it, I get why they would probably punish somebody who does that, right? It could be a threat to the national security, right? So I totally get that. I get the idea of making those kinds of things illegal. It's just that like extending it to the press and saying that they can't solicit. I mean, solicit means it sounds like they're like encouraging people to do it, like saying like, "Hey, come to me." Like, again, I don't know if I'm really against that. I don't really have much of an issue with that. That's just me personally. I don't know if you could, unless you're arguing from like a governmental perspective or some kind of like bootlicker perspective. Like, I don't think you could really have too much of an issue with that. Like, I mean, like, hey, they're a journalist. Like,
more. So I think that this change is pretty common sense, that you want to protect classified information and that you want to make sure that we don't have press wildly.
Which is why, and that's true. Like, that's why I was like, even if I personally have might have some small issues with it, I think on a political level, from a governmental perspective, if you believe in the system and you support the system and you're a bootlicker, there's no reason that this is like necessarily a bad thing, right? You would want to protect classified information because theoretically you are also protecting American citizens. Yeah, I mean, the only thing is be like, you'd possibly have like journalists afraid to actually be journalists. And if we're looking at the prompt or whether it be harmful to the integrity of American journalism, they might be able to make it. I'm not sure how they would make that argument. I'd have to think a little bit more on it. But they might be able to make the argument that part right there is harmful to American journalism.
Endlessly wandering around the Pentagon.
So a lot of it's security concerns, right?
Yeah, mainly.
So would you say that part
basically just security concerns. That's what it sounds like.
Of ensuring that we have proper security means we stop things like independent oversight on Pentagon spending, or things like whistleblowers for troops conditions that are experienced in the field?
Well, there's no changes here to whistleblowers. I mean, you can still have people that send in information to the press. Just the press can't go out and solicit this information from Pentagon employees.
Was the press soliciting information?
I mean, likely, yeah.
But is there evidence of that?
Yeah, they kind of were. Like, we know they are. Like, let's be honest here. Like, you think that just all of the leaks they get, people were just like, "Oh, here's a leak." Like, no, they're going and looking for information. They're going and interviewing people and looking for stories. And sometimes they might even pry it out of them.
I mean, does it really matter if there's evidence?
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's kind of like creating.
Can you agree that they shouldn't be soliciting that information?
I think the press is free to do whatever they want. They're the free press. They're not the controlled press.
Well, the free.
All right, bro. Like, is anybody free to do whatever they want, nigga? Like, are you serious right now? What is this argument? This guy's the worst. He's the most illogical person on the table.
Free press is a very good statement.
We're at the
However,
table.
you have to understand that the nature of what the Pentagon is, that's for the Department of Defense, that's military, that deals with classified information on a daily basis.
Literally the Department of Defense.
So it would be an absolutely ridiculous thing to have press freely roaming around the Pentagon. Now, I'm not going to make the claim that there's evidence that there have been missteps or that there was leaked information. What I'm saying is that at the core of what the mandate is to ensure a level of...
Again, avoiding making claims he can't substantiate. Ah. I love this guy. He's great. He's doing a really good job here.
Baseline level of security within the American military and the way in which information is disseminated.
I'm just trying to go back to this original point because I guess what
It's just very cogent point.
I don't understand is, was the press roaming freely hurting our intelligence in any way? Like, I don't think there's any evidence of.
I think that's. I'm sorry.
Well, is there any evidence of that?
I mean, I think that's just a pretty clear security breach. I mean,
but there's no.
To have people roaming around the Pentagon.
Yeah, it's literally. Like, bro, what? Why is anybody roaming around the Pentagon except Pentagon employees? Like, what? Like, really? Like, we're just now making it so that the press can't just roam willy-nilly around the Pentagon. We're just now doing that?
Pentagon, the most secure building in the world.
Can we at least agree?
If it's secure, then why is it a problem?
I'm just, it wasn't secure on 9/11. All right, I quit. Okay, I quit.
Somebody
I'm
gonna
just
have
saying.
to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
I'm just saying.
Problem if press is roaming freely to be able to talk to people.
So we're going to act as if, hold on. Now, are we going to act as if there have not been instances, not necessarily the Pentagon per se? Have there been
we're talking about the
instances-
Pentagon.
Well, right. What I'm saying is, let's start from general worker with the Pentagon. Have there been instances in American history where information has been leaked before it was supposed to? Can we agree that that has occurred in the history of
Yeah,
this
and would you
country?
say that
So if we can agree to
would you
that,
say-
hold
is
on,
that-
hold on. If we can agree to that, my only question is this: what is wrong at face value with setting that baseline security risk or that security measure? Excuse me. What's wrong with that at baseline?
Well, the problem is you have not substantiated that that is a risk. Like, they're just creating this rule for no reason to control the press rather than giving.
Let's just admit that it is a risk to state goals.
That's all I was asking. Thank you.
Let's just admit that there's a risk, even just for the sake of argument.
Thank
It was just even his debate partner wasn't feeling that response. He's like, wait a minute. I think it's very clearly a risk if people are roaming around the Pentagon who aren't Pentagon employees. Like, what? That's like saying it's not a risk if you work at a store and like customers are just roaming around the store. And there's no employees there. Like, it's like, no, that's a risk. That's a risk. That is a risk. Or customers roaming around the store while it's closed. Like, that is a risk. It might not be a big risk, right? You might be able to argue scale, but it's a risk. Obviously. Would you even... Like, so his debate partner's like, he's just like, we're not even gonna argue that. Let's just grant that. Be intellectually honest for a little bit.
Would you say that
And then he might just turn to be dishonest again, but we'll see.
leaking information that is showing clear abuses and injustices of our military is something that's a bad thing?
Absolutely. If leaking information is, leaking information is not a bad thing. Let me restate that. Leaking information where abuse is occurring is not a bad thing. There should absolutely be whistleblower protections. I'm not going to ever argue
And
that. However,
you're making it more difficult for that to come to light if you are putting
Yes, they are. But is that a bad thing? Like, the argument here would be that it's dangerous for declassified information just be being spread willy-nilly, and that we should have some kind of safeguards in the form of telling the media, hey, you're not allowed to incentivize or try to solicit people to break the law. which we have laws like that for other things, right? Like inciting violence and shit like that, right? You're not allowed to solicit people to do certain things, like fucking murder someone. Now that might be a little bit more extreme, but you know, both of those things are illegal, right? Like putting out declassified information as a government employee is a crime. They can be prosecuted for that. And if you're encouraging them to commit the crime, you're probably going to be held liable. The same way you would be held liable if you hired someone to kill someone. Because you are participating in a hit at that point. Right? So even if you don't get charged for murder, you might get charged for accessory. Right? You might get charged for conspiracy or something, right? Like, so things like this already exist. It's not like really like a new thing. It's just more specific.
Unnecessary mandates on what's happening to these press.
Obviously, you want to prevent the amount of leaks. If you're a Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon, you want to be able to have your classified information stay classified. And if there's
like, why the fuck would it be classified otherwise? like literally. I gotta piss actually. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna cut on some tunes, and I will be right back. Bear with me for a sec. I ain't going nowhere.
Some I'm trying to work on for you too. But
it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
Hey, write song for my dogs, for my squad, for my heart. How we won, how we lost, how we came, how we saw through it all. Ashen backs, out the roof, foreign cars, and pursuit. By the law, still we reach for our stars. Oh my God, so high up, I'm so far. Deja vu, I've been here before. Say come back down to earth, it's resist the urge. Still no breaks, on this court. Live or die, either or. Go for broke, hustle hard. Leave it all on the floor, Go for broke, hustle hard. Leave it all on the floor, Leave it all on the floor.
Fuck with me, I break them all. 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 Break them all, break them all. Fuck with me, I break them all. Fuck with me, I break them all.
Check. All right, we back. We back. All right. That's enough for the tunes. How'd you guys enjoy that? Ryan Celsius Sounds. I'll give him a follow. My favorite DJ on YouTube.
Unnecessary mandates on what's happening to these press.
Obviously, you want to prevent the amount of leaks. If you're Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon, you want to be able to have your classified information stay classified. And if there's actual abuses, then there's still protections in place for them to actually go out and leak the information to the press.
But again, that has not happened. It hasn't happened. But also, but I think this is important because they're creating a solution where there is no problem.
Wait, what hasn't happened?
If there's actual abuses, then there's still protections in place for them to actually go out and leak the information to the press.
But again, that has not happened.
Yeah, there are.
It hasn't happened. But also,
What hasn't happened? Like, what is he? Like, I don't like. I need to. Do I listen? Need to listen to what he said.
Putting unnecessary mandates on what's happening to these press.
Obviously, you want to prevent the amount of leaks. If you're Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon, you want to be able to have your classified information stay classified.
Right.
And if there's actual abuses, then there's still protections in place for them to actually go out and leak the information to the press.
But again, that has not happened. It hasn't happened. But also,
What hasn't happened? What is he responding to? I don't understand what he's responding to. What hasn't happened? People haven't leaked shit?
I think this is important because they're creating a solution where there is no problem. There's been no.
What, the protections haven't happened? Like, what is he? What? There's no problem?
Leak of classified information because of roaming reporters. What they're trying to do is create a tier of reporting.
Well, we don't know if it's because of roaming reporters or not.
Well,
I mean, that's kind of a hard thing.
But isn't it? Well, I guess
the absence of evidence. The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Just because.
Yeah, but you would want due.
This nigga, man. This is, I think, is this appeal to invincible ignorance? Can't remember. I'm still trying to get all my fallacies locked down. But he just called out a fallacy.
Fallacies.
He just called out a fallacy. And I was pretty quick to like, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Just because you can't directly show that this has happened does not mean that it isn't happening. And furthermore, it's actually more logical to conclude that it has happened or is happening if they're literally allowed to roam around the Pentagon. Why the fuck wouldn't they be trying to get access to classified information as a journalist? That could make your whole fucking career as a journalist. Like, what?
You would want substantial evidence for the government to put more guardrails on the press. If we're taking away from the freedom of assembly and the freedom of press, you want to make sure that you have proper evidence before you implement it.
I want potential.
Are they putting more guardrails on the press? Or are they just making the Pentagon more secure?
Leaks to be minimized as much as possible. And I think that the Pentagon being a place where the press can just roam free, go into any room at the Pentagon they want, locate any file they want, and not have to be escorted by anyone. I think that that's obviously a potential leak.
Do you think the Pentagon's a place where people just go look at a file? You think someone can just walk into an office and find a file? Is that what you think the Pentagon is?
I mean, with press being allowed to just roam free in the Pentagon.
But do you know, like, I've been to the White House. There are 12 levels of security just to get into that place, and you are not allowed to go anywhere without a very specific badge.
The White House, okay, that's the one for the Pentagon.
Okay, so aren't they making it so that that's what journalists have to do? It's not saying they don't have access to the Pentagon anymore. It's just saying you have to like only have access to specific places, and you have to have like a badge that shows that you're a member of the press. Like, what? What is he saying?
On too, right? But what I'm saying is the Pentagon is one of the most secure places in America. There's absolutely no way a journalist is walking into an office and discovering a file. That's just not happening. What?
Have you been to the Pentagon?
I did.
How do you know that? Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, this is like, I've been to the White House. Like, nigga, that's not the Pentagon. We're not talking about the White House right now. What's fucking wrong with you?
What? Have you been to the Pentagon?
Have you been to the Pentagon? Have you been in the building?
No.
So then we can't. We're not going to.
He's never been to the Pentagon. Color me surprised.
None of us at this table.
Y'all can fact check that on the internet because I am telling you that there are levels of security.
I understand that. I've been to the White House myself.
Nobody needs to fact check anything, nigga. You've never been there. Your anecdote from the White House is like, this is just a red herring. Like, none of that matters. Like, you already appealed to an anecdote, but then you appealed to an anecdote that's like a red herring. Like, we're like stacking fallacies now.
I'm probably going back in December if I get the invite to the Christmas party. But the point is that what we're getting at is, my question was, and Mason answered it directly, so thank you for that. At baseline, there is nothing wrong with creating a baseline level of security to ensure that the potential for leaks.
But this isn't about security.
Why isn't it?
And the focus right here is not saying that there are proper guardrails to maximize security. What we're doing is we're approving state-approved media. We're saying that the state needs to be able to oversight and have clear control over what is released.
That's not what they're saying. No. That's dishonest.
From the Pentagon. They are not only having a specific escort where somebody who's already working with the motivations of the state walk alongside to make sure that they're properly.
Obviously, there should be state control over what comes out of the Pentagon. Yeah, I mean,
there should be.
Yeah, pretty clearly, it's classified information, and the Pentagon, the
focus
United
on
States
classified
has an interest in making sure they're classified
The
information.
focus on classified information is denying specifically what these guardrails are.
Why would there not be state control of what comes out of the Pentagon? Like, he's right. Like nigga, what? Like, it's the government building. It's Department of Defense. Like, what? Like, they have military secrets. Like, what? What?
It's not just classified information, it's also declassified information. The Pentagon has explicitly said that stories.
No shit. We're talking about the classified information.
Stories that go against the national interests of the United States should not be released. That's part of the new guardrails. And you could say that for anything. You could literally say if you are in charge of what information is released.
That's already the rule. That's the law. It's to de-incentivize government employees giving out sensitive information to anyone because it's a threat to national security as far as they're concerned. Like, why don't we understand that? What is he even arguing right now?
Who's to say that there's not proper guardrails on that classification of what is a national
What
security?
part of the pledge? That's not part of the pledge, Mason. First of all, what part?
Why would Fox News
administration
not sign the pledge then? Do you think Fox News is against the current administration?
I mean, I think generally legacy media obviously doesn't want to sign on to these sort of things because they were previously allowed to just have free reign around the Pentagon. You brought up earlier that in the White House.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why would you want to give up privileges that you have?
You need to have press passes, and you need to have people kind of assisting you where to go. I think that should be in place for the Pentagon too.
It was in place. It was in place.
No, it wasn't.
You're not allowed to
just.
I cannot walk into the Pentagon and just go wherever I want. That's just not a thing.
If you're a member of the press, you obviously could.
What we're getting?
No, you couldn't.
That's what this is changing.
No.
Are you a member of the press? Like, what the fuck? You're not talking about random citizens. Most random citizens aren't gonna get to the fucking Pentagon. You piece of shit. Like, what are we talking about right now?
That's what I'm telling you. That's not a real thing.
We have different views about what information the press should have access to freely, and classified information and information that is used or needs to be used by the American military. We have differing viewpoints on that. I think that's where we are.
Compensation first reported by the New York Times yesterday. He was answering questions in the Oval Office and said it could be something his legal team was pursuing for the federal investigations into him.
I don't know what the numbers are. I don't even talk to them about it. All I know is that they would owe me a lot of money, but I'm not looking for money. I'd give it to charity or something. And it's awfully strange to make a decision where I'm paying my...
Wait. Wait, what did he say?
For the federal investigations into him.
I don't know what the numbers are. I don't even talk to them about it. All I know is that they would owe me a lot of money, but I'm not looking for money. I'd give it to charity or something. And it's awfully strange to make a decision where I'm paying myself. In other words, did you ever have one of those cases where you have to decide how much you're paying yourself in damages? But I was damaged very greatly, and any money that I would get, I would give.
He's right. It's a weird predicament to be in.
It is reasonable for President Donald Trump to seek $230 million in damages for malicious political prosecution.
Yeah, because in this sense, it wouldn't even be about the money. Like he said, he would probably just send it to charity because he has no real need for it. But I think is he still giving up his presidential paycheck? Because he didn't really need that. But yeah, the point would be to get them to admit that they did something wrong. Like it wouldn't be about the money. So yeah, it is reasonable for him to do that. Yeah, why not? Especially if he can take that money and just give it to a charity, or I don't know, maybe make it a stimulus for the American people, some shit like that. I don't know.
You guys want to start on this one?
Yeah, I think we set a bad precedent when we have elected officials who there's a form of accountability that is trying to be imposed, feels like their feelings are slighted, or feels like their reputation was tarnished, and is now seeking for tax.
Or that they were prosecuted by a corrupt system. Like, talk about malicious political prosecution here. Not just, oh, my feelings were hurt. It's like they were quite literally accusing him of things he didn't do. They were actually literally slandering him. Yeah, there was tons of libel and slander on Trump's name. And then if we're talking about like the DOJ, well, they were investigating him for things that they don't investigate anyone else for, right? They weren't investigating other presidents for, what was it, like having classified documents after leaving office or whatever. It's like apparently all of them have done the same shit. It's like selective prosecution. Like, yeah, there's been a lot of shit that you could argue is corrupt. And why wouldn't he seek damages? Because the entire point is to get them to admit that they did something wrong. Like, it doesn't have to be money, but that's their penalty essentially, right? Like when you win a lawsuit, there has to be some kind of a like penalty or something. Like the ruling technically is enough, but the this is just like added. It's just an addition to the ruling. The ruling is the main thing you want, though.
Taxpayers to continue to enrich them. I know Donald Trump is saying that he's going to use the money for charity or whatnot. It does not set a good precedent when people that are trying to be held accountable are then demanding certain money from the taxpayers.
Are they demanding the money? Are they demanding the money from taxpayers? He's already won a lawsuit.
People that you're trying to hold accountable, and what if you're fucking them over and you're trying to hold them accountable for something that they are not responsible for? What about that? What about then?
Against ABC. Was it ABC or
I think it was ABC.
For I think it was about $30 million, something like that, for political defamation. And this is the only president that I'm aware of that has continuously donated both of his salaries directly to the Department of Treasury, which goes back to the American taxpayer.
$400,000, right?
Well, the president.
Yeah, right, yeah. So is he still? He's still doing that? He's still sending his presidential salary to like the Treasury or something.
When you look at all the money the president gets, around $1.4 million. He has $400,000 base salary and a slew of discretionary.
Right, and he's donating all that to charity, right?
He is, yes.
Yeah, did he donate like the billions that he made on crypto like right before he got in office?
I mean, what he does as a private individual has nothing to do with the presidential salary, so that's a red herring. Good try though.
400,000 compared to billions.
No.
He got him again. Yo, this nigga was prepared, bro. He's like, that was a red herring. Nice try though. I like this guy, man. Man, he's on point today.
No, 1.4 million. There's a difference. And
1.4 million billions.
And the thing is, it is very reasonable. This is the only president that I've seen in my lifetime that had his social media platforms taken away from him, that has had the most politically motivated criminal prosecution targeted. He's been targeted the worst political prosecution.
I want to be fair. Most presidents didn't live through the social media era, so.
Why was his social media taken away?
Because he was falsely accused of inciting the January 6th riots and was acquitted in it. Yeah, falsely.
How was that false?
He was impeached for it and he won. There's no evidence. There is absolutely zero evidence. I'm going to say this.
Impeached for it and he won?
No, he was.
But where's the evidence?
There you go.
What evidence?
He was impeached, but they didn't actually.
Conclusively, that the president of the United States incited the January 6th.
What's the difference between inductive and deductive reasoning?
Well, I think we need to get to this point, which is, was the election stolen from Donald Trump?
That has nothing to do with what I
It does, because
that's
that's
nothing to do with
no. May I make my point real fast? Because
I don't even think that's what they're talking about. They're talking about like early in the first term, right?
what leads us to all of this is malicious political prosecution.
Right.
So was it a malicious political prosecution for?
No, they were doing a lot of that stuff. They were like attempting to do a lot of that stuff when he was in office.
The folks to go after Donald Trump when he said the election was stolen?
Absolutely, that's malicious political
Why?
prosecution. The president of the United States has a right to legally challenge the results of elections in court. I mean, he didn't do anything.
He lost every challenge.
Well, he went through the legal process. He challenged in courts, and then
does the President of the United States have the right to nominate his own electors and try to send them to D.C. to change the results of the election?
I mean, there is precedent.
Yes, he does.
For it with Richard Nixon and
no, does he have the right?
He has the right to try to do.
It's actually illegal.
No, it's not.
Yes, he can. No, he can actually put together a slate of electors. He can do that. There's precedent for it.
It is. That's why people went to
jail. He has the right to try, and then Congress voted on it, and they said that
Wait,
no.
You think the President of the United States? You think if Joe Biden or
He
Kamala
went through- he
Harris?
went through the legal means of
Hold
trying
on.
to-
Let's just get
of
this
trying to
clear.
challenge
Let's
an
just get this
election.
clear. You think that Kamala Harris?
Yeah, he basically exhausted every legal means that he had to challenge the election, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, one of the things that I say is I like the fact that I was able to see it. I don't think a lot of people have seen that in their lifetime. Like, I don't think most Americans have seen that in their lifetime, because over the course of American history, I don't think that this has happened. I think that was probably the first time that that's happened. So the first time that somebody's really like pushed it all the way and used like every single avenue that they could try. And I think a lot of people are actually better off for it, because now we actually understand a little bit more about how the system supposedly works. So, you know, again, that's kind of a side tangent, but yeah, I mean, I think it's actually better for us all to have seen that. And again, like, he's within his rights to do it.
Could have sent her own electors on wherever the hell that was, 2024, 2025, where they voted.
Kamala
and she
Harris
said, actually, I won. You think that's okay?
Kamala Harris had the right to challenge the 2024 election.
That's not what
if-
I'm
if she
saying.
won. Well, that's the answer.
Well, no,
that's
because
all
this
it
is what
was.
this is all about. Is that it's not that he challenged the election. It's that he
Why did
sent a
ABC
slate. No, hold on.
why did ABC
he
pay him
sent a
$30 million?
slate of electors to get voted on that Mike Pence was going to reject the real electors.
Right.
And
It
a
was a
fake
legal
set-
theory about the Constitution
No.
that was being tested out based off previous
No,
precedent.
there's not a legal theory.
It-
These are
it
fake.
was a legal
These are
theory.
fake electoral votes.
The problem with what you're saying is none of what you said is now relevant because he.
It is relevant because now he's asking us for
Yeah, it's not. Again, shouts out to the homie. Like, again, this shit is off topic. This is not relevant.
No. We know he's asking us for money. He already. Well, let's be clear. He already won $130 million lawsuit. I wouldn't.
Well, I just want to know: was the 2020 election stolen? Because that's what this is all about.
No, that's not what this is about. This is about the fact that Trump.
It's malicious political prosecution. Is it malicious and is it prosecution if Donald Trump lied about the thing that he's being persecuted for?
Is it malicious and is it prosecution? Like, I really don't think this nigga's I don't think he knows what he's talking about.
I think let's actually talk about the problem. So the key issue, and the one that's really being debated.
Obviously, it's prosecution. They're arguing about whether it's malicious or not, or based solely on political means.
Is whether or not it's justified for the president of the United States.
You all can't answer if the 2020 election is stolen.
I don't know. I'm going to say I don't know if 2020 election was stolen.
Now I have a question because Donald Trump is using the Justice Department to go after folks, right?
What do you mean?
He's going after people using the Justice
People who
Department.
committed crimes.
Okay.
Michael Bolton.
So where is the person being sent to jail who helped steal the 2020 election from Donald Trump?
What do you mean?
No one is. I'm not making the claim.
Even if they were to make the claim, doesn't mean that anybody goes to jail for it. Like, you ever heard of getting away with the crime? It's like, oh, well, this guy just, came up and stole my wallet right out of my pants, pickpocketed me. I saw him do it. But, he didn't go to jail, so, like, I guess he didn't steal it. Like, nigga, what? What are you talking about? You can get away with crimes, nigga. Just because nobody's in jail doesn't mean it didn't happen. What the fuck are we talking about right now?
I refuse to make the claim that definitively the 2020 election was stolen.
Well,
I'm not doing it.
I want to know then.
I'm not making this.
Where?
I think that is real quick. I think that is probably one of the most.
Yeah, I wish he would. He's calling out the other fouls. I wish he would call him out on that bullshit. Like, what? What? Just because nobody's in jail doesn't mean they didn't do it. Even if he doesn't have a position, the thing that this guy is arguing is fucking retarded. Like, it's
important questions for
fucking
American democracy.
dumb.
Because if Donald Trump is correct, which he continues to say, that the 2020 election was stolen, we need to use the full force of the government to punish whoever did that. And what I think Keith is saying is that is not materialized in any way.
Yeah,
and Donald
that has nothing to do with this problem. So I think
it is because this is about.
Let's talk about it.
I just think that it is.
Like, it really doesn't. That's the thing. They love talking about. This is why he said it earlier. They love talking about January 6th, bro. They love talking about the 2020 election. They fucking love it. It gets them hard. They fucking love it. Pause.
It's wild to say that doesn't matter whether or not the 2020 election was stolen, because if that is true, if the president of the United States has sufficient evidence that an American election was undermined, you need to fully focus on that, because what's going to stop that from happening again? And there's a reason why he's not focusing on that, because he knows it's bullshit.
The framing here is just so fucking dishonest, dude.
I mean, I would.
We all know it's bullshit. And you're stammering right now because you can't.
And here,
defend it,
we'll-
and you
let's
want to
move
move
on.
on.
Yeah,
We're not moving on. We're not moving on.
He's not stammering, first of all. And if he is stammering, it's because he's so befuddled and confused about how you could be so ridiculously dishonest or fucking stupid. And you're continuing to talk, so he can't even get out what he's trying to say. So he's not stammering. You're interrupting him. You're trying to continue to talk while he's trying to respond. Like, no.
Because that's what this is all about. It's about getting money for something that didn't happen.
Well, no.
Yes, it is.
So
what was the malicious political prosecution?
Bro, he literally just said he's not looking for money. How can you even make that claim? What evidence do you have to support that claim? What fucking money does Trump need? He's not even taking his presidential salary still, apparently. Why the fuck would he need $230 million from the DOJ? He has more money than that in the bank. He has more money than that in assets. Like, what are we talking about?
Malicious prosecution was creating new crimes that have literally never been charged for any presidential candidate, despite multiple candidates before in history challenging results of.
And again, the point is to get them to admit that they did something wrong. Like, have they already admitted that they did something wrong? Or is it more of a point to get them after they've done it to actually pay him for the damages, because then they're really admitting to the damages. Like you need the payout too. Like the ruling is good enough, but you kind of need the payout too. Or you need some kind of sentence. They need to feel it. If you were suing somebody for fucking you over, you wouldn't be content with just them admitting that they did something wrong. You'd want them to pay something for it. Even if you don't want the money yourself, you'd want them to pay. You'd want to make them pay, like quite literally. You'd want them to have some kind of consequence for it. Like, I mean, that's what you're saying about Trump. You want him to have consequences for the thing or whatever. You want them to focus on, like, again, if they've done him wrong, he wants them to have consequences. It's not about the money for him. Why would it be?
Presidential elections, and them going after Donald Trump to try to jail him, and Joe Biden trying to jail his chief political opponent. That's what the malicious political prosecution was in this case. And the only thing that's really needs to be debated here is whether or not the president of the United States can seek from their own DOJ, pay for malicious political prosecution. And there is good precedent.
Right. That is the only question here, because that's what I'm thinking about. I'm like, how would that even work? Like that's the interesting part. But I also I get that he's not looking for money. He thinks it would be kind of weird to begin with, just like for him to be paying himself with the government's money or whatever, right? It was just like, I'll send it to a charity or whatever, like I do with my fucking presidential paycheck. And it's like, okay, cool. Because at the end of the day, again, we know he really just wants the ruling. He really just wants the punishment. Because optically, it looks a certain way. When you don't just have the ruling that they did him wrong, but them having to actually pay him out. And then even that money that they're paying out going back to the American people in some way. Instead of having just been wasted in the system to try to prosecute a president for political purposes, or a former president for political purposes.
There are statutes which allow an American citizen to seek retribution in the form of payments from the government if there has been malicious political prosecution.
But where is it?
What do you mean?
Where is the malicious political prosecution?
Here's the malicious part of it, and this is what Trump is actually pursuing. I just had to look it up. The Russia collusion is the primary thing that Donald Trump is seeking the $230 million damage for. Now, the leftists and the Democrat. Was there any objective evidence that linked Russia?
Oh, okay. Because that's what I thought. That's what I'm saying. They were talking about early in the first term. The Russia, the collusion shit. And yeah, like, what's the problem with that? And this is exactly why they were off topic talking about fucking January 6th and shit, because that's not what this is about.
Russia to stealing the 2016 election where Trump kicked Hillary Clinton's ass? Yes or no?
The evidence?
Yes or no?
Just
a yes or no? Oh, no. But see, we have real objective. We can either there was objective.
See, like, he's on point. He's on point.
Russia collusion is the primary thing that Donald Trump is seeking the $230 million damage for. Now, the leftists and the Democrat. Was there any objective evidence that linked Russia to stealing the 2016 election where Trump kicked Hillary Clinton's ass? Yes or no?
The evidence?
Yes or no?
Just
a yes or no?
He said yes or no. Was there any evidence that actually linked Russia to the election or whatever the fuck? Is there any evidence that they actually have of that? That's his question.
Oh, no. But see, we have real objective. We can either there was objective evidence or there was not. Was there any objective evidence that was presented that the president of the United States colluded with Vladimir Putin and Russia to get 2016 election?
We're having this is a round table. Typically, there's supposed to be civil discussions. I get that you're animated and
it's very civil.
Is he fucking tone policing right now? Like this nigga just like he got up and started yelling at you or something? Like he just asked you a question. This is the craziest dodge I've ever seen in my fucking life, bro. This is fucking crazy. That was what?
I'm not saying you. I'm specifically pointing at you right now. I think that it's very indicative in what you.
He didn't fucking do anything. What are you bitching about? God, I hate these fucking pussies. Fellas, get your apex. You don't want to end up like this guy. Get your apex.
You just admitted to earlier. I really appreciate you're honest and being transparent about everything. And I really appreciate that. So to say that you had to look up what the script was for like why Donald Trump is being maliciously persecuted, instead of knowing that, even though you seem very convicted and very defensive for the administration, I think that really shows the problem with a lot of these political discussions because it shows that there's a lot of post hoc like justification.
This is mad dishonest. This is so ridiculously fucking dishonest. Not only the dodge, the obvious dodge to the yes or no question, but now we're just being dishonest. Wow.
Justification of like, I know Donald Trump is innocent. Let me look it up real quick so that way I can show it.
I never claimed he was innocent. I simply claimed
you just got this nigga next to him just nodding and shit. And you barely said anything this entire time because you're retarded and you don't even know what the topics that you're talking about. Like you have no context for any of this shit. You're trying to argue and you're failing. This nigga's carrying you and he's bad faith.
what he was seeking the damages for, Mason. You did an excellent job in the civil. Let me respond if I can. You did an excellent job in remaining civil. I think we've been pretty civil at this table. But I think
there was nothing uncivil about what he just did. Like that was insane. The way he just tried to act like, oh, I thought we were just having a civil discussion. He's like, nigga, he asked you a question. Are you gonna answer the question, or are you gonna bitch about nothing? Because there is nothing for you to be complaining about right now.
I think that you still didn't answer my question.
Do you know what
Like, unless they cut something out here, that's fucking retarded. And the thing is, if they cut it out and then showed him responding to it, it's like, why would you even do that? Like, it's easy for me to say he didn't do anything here, because the only alternative is that they cut it out of the video, which would be extremely dishonest for Jubilee to do. But I wouldn't necessarily put it past them.
Has any objective evidence been presented that Russia interfered in the 2016 election where Trump won?
Yes.
Yeah,
Where? What
There's no evidence Trump won. There you
I
go.
mean,
Can we go
Trump
back to
won,
what we're talking
They
about?
definitely colluded.
How?
What? Hold on.
But I think that you still didn't answer my question.
Do you know what
Which is, has any objective
Yeah, he didn't answer the question.
evidence been presented that Russia interfered in the 2016 election where Trump won?
Yes.
Yeah,
Where?
There's no evidence Trump won. There you
I
go.
mean,
Can we
Trump
go back to
won,
what we're
but
talking about?
There's no evidence Trump won. That's not an answer to his question. He said no. But if his justification for that no was that, then this is incoherent.
They definitely colluded. How? I don't have it. I'm not gonna look it up on my phone.
Well,
like you.
I do know some.
So you wouldn't obtain information like I just did?
So you don't have anything? God. Color me shocked.
Fallacies.
Color me shocked.
Fallacies.
Color me fucking shocked.
You wouldn't take the time to
I
do
don't have my phone on me
that?
because I'm trying to just talk.
I'm going to say that there's no sufficient evidence to show that the 2016 was illegitimate.
Thank you for
I agree
that
with that.
information.
But you can admit that there was Russian collusion.
Finally, he admitted it. Thank you for actually being honest. After dodging and being extremely fucking dishonest. Piece of shit.
No.
Specifically with spreading misinformation.
No.
That's okay. Russia is an adversary of the United States. Do you really think that you can't be American first to talk about
I'm not going to make
There's no provable link to the Trump campaign and to Donald
No, there is.
to Donald Trump specifically.
No, yes. So I completely agree with you. Let's do the handshake. I agree with you. There's no link to Donald Trump specifically as an individual colluding with Russian officials. But there are actual evidence that was presented in courts and proven in courts that members of his
Yeah, that they were trying to influence the election like every other country in the world that would like to see our elections go a certain way. Yes, there are covert operations going on to influence our election. Yes, we already fucking know that. That's not the same thing. They were saying he was a Russian asset.
his campaign did. That is not to say that Donald Trump authorized his campaign members to do that, or he colluded with that, or use information. But we know, and this is proven in court through bipartisan judicials, this is not just a Democrat hoax of there was collusion with Russian officials and certain members of the
Yes, it is. You're trying to fucking Mott and Bailey it now.
Campaign. Now, is that to say that there is sufficient evidence to overturn the 2016 election? Of course not. Both Keith and I would probably agree. You're going to agree, right? That Donald Trump won the 2016 election. There you go.
I'll respond to that.
So Donald did win. But what you guys can't
Well,
say,
let me respond.
but what you guys can't say is that the 2020 election was legitimate. You're still dancing around and stammering and stuff.
Oh my God, bro. They desperately want to talk about this because it's all they have. And they don't even really have that.
Because you know that Donald Trump still doesn't acknowge that.
No, I'm not making it. Let's go back to your point real quick about 2016. So you said that there was completely legitimate investigations into the Trump campaign, and that's just false. We were told, the reports that Tulsi Gabbard and the Department of Intelligence have released have kind of showcased that it was all a political witch hunt against President Trump, which is what they're seeking the damages for. And yeah, if there was actual malice committed by a federal employee against Donald Trump and during his 2024 election, then absolutely he's entitled to seek damages from that. Can you guys read just the principle of it? That if Trump was actually, if he was maliciously politically prosecuted, that he would be able to seek damages. Can we reach just to that just general precedent?
I think if there are specific directives that are targeted towards individuals, they should be able to seek justice. Now, is that in the form of $230 million to enrich yourself?
Well, not to enrich yourself.
I don't think that shouldn't be.
He's not enriching himself, Mason. He's donating to get the charity.
Bro, this is what I'm saying. They're just being so fucking dishonest, bro. He doesn't need to enrich himself. He's already rich.
We have precedent with that. He's already doing it to his salary. So based on the principle first mentioned, if he's done it with his salary, why wouldn't he do it with the damages?
I'm just saying, my friend, there's a difference between deductive and inductive reasoning. I
There's a
didn't
huge
really get to talk about that earlier. But we can inductively see through the character of Donald Trump that someone who's selling NFT baseball cards or
And again, inductive reasoning is extremely fucking weak in instances like this. Extremely fucking weak.
whatever the cartoons that he's selling to enrich himself. This is somebody who likes money a lot. I mean, he talks about it a lot. Primarily, he sees wealth accumulation as one of the biggest reasons why you're worth in society. And so I think that, seeing an individual like that, I think it's okay to be skeptical. Now, that's not saying that people shouldn't try to seek justice if there has been injustice that's occurred, but what we're saying is we're pretty skeptical given the character of Donald Trump that he's presented to the American people, and that's a worthy skepticism.
Given the character of the man that has consistently donated.
Yeah, and again, this is why the inductive reasoning is extremely fucking weak.
He's already set some sort of a precedent by donating his, to you, measly $400,000 when the average American in this country don't even make $56,000. You're saying
he's in the war chest.
Well, okay, well, Donald Trump is worth a couple $1 billion.
Why doesn't he take $1?
What do you mean? Why doesn't he take $1? Ask him.
No, I'm asking.
He doesn't need the money. He said
he doesn't need the money. Why not just take $1?
Well, I know for a fact that none of that money that's going toward the building of the new East Wing Ballroom is coming out of the pockets of American taxpayers. I know that for certain. We can prove that just looking at the huge donors, people that have willingly, freely used their money to make those donations. So would you think then that Trump is not going to take that $230 million if he wins?
I know that Trump has a charity. He has a charity that he used to pay himself.
What charity is that you're talking about?
The one that Tish James made him have to dissolve in 2018. So Donald Trump does not have.
Well, I mean, that's how most charities work. Like, typically, I think it might even be a rule that you have to take a salary, depending on what you're doing. But yeah, a lot of the time, yes, the people at the top of the charity, like the chairman or whatever, gonna be taking some kind of salary. But that's so that technically the charity can operate. It's not really just them like paying themselves from the money from the charity. Like, it's not as simple as that. So it's very dishonest to frame it that way. I don't know specifically what he's talking about. Like, maybe if Trump was found to be doing something, or had been found to be doing something corrupt, then maybe sure this would be a good example of him maybe not being trustworthy when he says he's going to donate to charity. But I mean, he's definitely going to be under a lot more scrutiny as a president. So even if that did happen in the past, I doubt it would happen now. There would be no incentive for him to do that. There would only be negatives. Like they would just attack him more for that. So like, why would he do that?
Have a clear record on taking money that's meant for someone else and using it for someone else. So that's interesting.
So you're conveniently still ignoring the fact that he donates his presidential salary directly to the Treasury, and you're being willfully ignorant of that fact. You're ignoring, not even ignorant, because you know it. You're ignoring that, and now using that to say.
I'm just saying there's evidence. I'm saying there's evidence that Donald Trump, when given money for charity, tends to use it on Donald Trump.
And to be clear, this isn't just a Trump issue. Like, the Clinton Foundation has also done a lot of like money laundering in order to enrich themselves.
Bro, this is how nonprofits tend to work, bro.
Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
So this is more of like a question of transparency.
There's nothing really in the rules, I'm pretty sure, that says they can't take a salary.
Again, and how we hold people in positions of power accountable. I think we should be skeptical as the people when people that are already at a certain wealthy status are asking for more from the taxpayer.
Well, and
that should be something that's bipartisan.
And I think, of course, we need to see actually what charity he donates it to, and we can kind of evaluate after that. But I think that there is good precedent here of President Trump, using the funds he gets for his public service and giving them back to the American people or giving them to charity, like was brought up with the presidential salary. There's no evidence or precedent for President Trump using his position as president to enrich himself. There's just no precedent of that.
Wait, why is it?
Yeah, like even if you're gonna appeal to something he did when he wasn't president, there's no evidence that him as president, or that he as president wouldn't just take the money and do what he's doing with his presidential salary.
Why isn't he completely severed ties with
Like, there's no actual reason, even inductive or otherwise, to really believe that, unless you have a bias, which is why your inductive reasoning is so fucking weak.
businesses that he's
Again.
associated with? What do you mean? So like Jimmy Carter specifically is one example, who completely severed ties with an agricultural farm that he had when he became president, because he wanted to show, hey, I don't want to have any ties specifically to something that's going to enrich me, or I don't want to show that my position of power is going to be used to prop up this business that's under my name. Donald Trump has not done that. He's
Well, he's under an obligation to.
You just said right now that there's
To sever ties
no-
with businesses?
He literally said.
He's not under any obligation to do that. He's like, I think he has to like step down from like running his businesses or whatever, maybe, but like, yeah, no.
Or he didn't say, you said that there's a precedent for him not showing that he's using his position of power to enrich himself. And I'm saying that's the precedent right there. If he completely wanted to show, hey, I'm in this for the American people, I'm in this for public service, he would detach himself from private enterprises.
I mean, that's just not. That's not.
No, well, he already kind of did that. Like his family's running a business or shit now, but obviously the company he was running was a family company. His grandfather started it, if I'm not mistaken.
Opinion. That is an opinion, Mason. But you can't. But you can't.
Like he can't completely separate himself from his family's business. Like what?
What you're saying is that if he, by your logic, is if I'm trying to make sure I understand what you're saying.
Mostly because he is also part of the brand. He has been, because he's a reality TV star. Like he's also an entertainer. He's like the face of the brand. You can't remove himself completely.
You're saying that if he was really for the American people, he would sever ties from all of his private businesses that he had prior to him becoming president. I'm just making sure I'm understanding that.
I'm just saying that somebody that becomes the president of the United States, the most powerful position in the world, shouldn't also have other obligations to specific enterprises that they're also affiliated with.
Well, there's no evidence of him prioritizing his obligations over his obligations.
There is when he's holding.
He's basically like kind of stepped down and giving control to other people. He's not like really directly involved in running his businesses right now. He still has some private business, he does, but like, again, he was doing that already. He like completely separating himself from it, again, is not really possible because it's a family business. And again, he is the face of the brand. Like, what you're asking for is honestly completely unrealistic. That would never happen. And it doesn't mean that he is somehow more untrustworthy or anything, because there are people who are in office now, and there are people who have been in office before, who have enriched themselves regardless of whether they're connected to any businesses or not, because that's not the only way to do that.
Saudi officials in his own hotels, that's showing that you're utilizing your role as government in order to enrich yourself.
I mean, him housing Saudi officials in a nice hotel and creating
Yeah,
flood
but
springs.
hold on, Mason.
Housing them in your own
No,
hotel.
but hold on, Mason. To be fair, but to be fair, he owned those hotels and he had them well before he ran for president, right?
Yeah.
So then why is that a problem, Mason?
Why are they
he
choosing
they're
that
his property.
specifically?
Well, no, what I'm saying is Trump is he has a degree of narcissism in his
Wait,
politics.
why does he want Trump casinos in Gaza by actually acquiring that land through Israel's acquisition?
Trump has a slight degree of narcissism. I think that all politicians.
that?
I think all politicians do. You have.
I mean, at the end of the day, he's a businessman, but I don't think he was necessarily serious about that. But sure, he's a real estate. He's a businessman. He's a real estate man. So if he sees an area as essentially like would essentially be prime real estate or something that his company or his family could be a part of or something, like, sure, of course he's gonna probably express that, like, but what does that have to do with anything? Like, he's still a businessman at the end of the day. When he's not president anymore, he's still gonna be a businessman, and maybe he's gonna want to look at that. But I don't think that that's just him enriching himself. Like, that's just kind of seeing an opportunity that's available or that would be available could a certain thing happen. But I mean, I wouldn't even entirely disagree that this is a way that he could be theoretically enriching himself. It's just not really the same thing as seeking damages when people have, falsely accused you of things and sought to prosecute you, like basically defamed your name and everything. Like,
have to do the job and do it to some degree well. So he owned these properties before he became the president of the United States.
Correct.
So he has the right to host someone in a beautiful hotel. He loves saying, I love luxury. He says it all the time. So whether you love him or hate him, he has that right to do so. It's his property. He owned it prior to becoming president.
I'm not saying it should be illegal. I'm just saying that this is more indicative of how he views his role as the executive. That's all we're saying.
Do you think that members of Congress should be able to make money
and that just doesn't follow
off of stock trades?
No, Nancy Pelosi.
No, me neither.
Or Dan Crenshaw. Let's not pretend like it's just the left.
No, but
no, it's the left.
We agree.
But
we all. Oh my God, we all agree on this. Yes. We all agree that members of Congress should not make money off of their access to information within the government.
Yes.
Okay. As it relates to stocks, I'm going to be specific with that.
Okay. And why do you agree with me on that?
Because
I mean, they kind of have like direct control over that stuff, so they could affect the market in certain ways that would make it so that they basically instantly make themselves rich. Like, that's a huge conflict of interest. A huge conflict of interest. So I get that. That makes sense. And in other areas, it could kind of make sense too. But at the end of the day, it's like if you become president and you are a real estate mogul, or even just a fucking lawyer, and your family happens to get more access to certain business from certain people because of the position you're in, it's like it wouldn't matter what position you took. Like, that's just the nature of the business, and even the nature of running like a family business. Because it's like once you acquire more connections and power, all the people around you kind of do as well. So he doesn't even have to actively really be doing anything. It's just a natural consequence of him becoming president. Like, he's he's ultimately probably just going to make more money no matter what once he becomes president, because now the business that he owned is connected to a president. Like a business being connected to a celebrity and have a celebrity spokesperson. Like, oh my God, it's like the brand, the entire brand of your company is also a celebrity. Oh my God, what is is Trump a businessman and a celebrity? Wow. Are you saying that like they could be making more money just solely off the fact that his name is bigger now? Wow, it's crazy. But what a surprise.
They have access to modify, and as it relates specifically to
He doesn't even have to actually like use any of his leverage as president for that to happen. It's like a natural consequence.
the stock market and Wall Street, they could have access and influence to modify the outcome of the price of certain stocks.
Right. So I know it's hard because you really like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
No, I'm being serious here. That's what Donald Trump is doing. He's doing this in the Oval Office, where he is deciding what he.
It depends on what you're talking about. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with the idea that he could be doing that. But if you're going to say that he is doing it, you're going to need some real evidence for that.
He focuses on and what's important to him in order to make money for himself.
That's just fundamentally not true. I mean,
we've seen it happen in real time. And I personally, and I would hope you would agree with me, I want to live in a country where the people who represent
We've seen what happened in real time. Hold on. What did he just say? Because I don't think that's true.
him in order to make money for himself. What he focuses on and what's important to him in order to make money for himself.
That's just fundamentally not true. I mean,
we've seen it happen in
Yeah, I don't think he has any way of substantiating that claim. I don't think he does. You could argue that a lot of the stuff Trump does is losing him money.
in real time. And I personally, and I would hope you would agree with me, I want to live in a country where the people who represent us are representing us and not representing how to make themselves richer, right? I think we can broad strokes agree with
This notion that President Trump is somehow, he has an incentive to use the office to enrich himself, I mean, it's just silly. The guy is, I think, at this point, 78 years old. I mean, he already has a slew.
It's not necessarily silly, but it does seem extremely untrue. And if you're going to argue it, you should really have some hard evidence.
Slew of wealth. He's worth billions of dollars. There's just no incentive for him to try
and
to
yet,
get $100 million incentive to enrich himself. And you have no evidence you could point to him using the office of the presidency.
I've already pointed out multiple. If you're housing government officials in your own enterprises, if you're not severing ties between private equity that is continuing to get enriched under your presidency, coincidentally, that's not something that
his businesses are successful.
That is not something that is conducive for somebody who's trying to put public service over his own.
I disagree. I think that it's very possible that you can do both, and I think that's what Trump has done. When he first got in office, the United Arab Emirates, I think was to the tune of $1 billion investment that they wanted to throw into the United States. Apple agreed to invest $300 billion. Not only does that, I think there's this. What's happening? I think we have this sort of catch-22 where you're saying, only the rest of the country should be enriched, as if the president is not still also a citizen. He's not still also a business owner, to be quite frank. Him using Trump Towers and Trump hotels to house Saudi officials, he legally has every right to do so. Now we can argue all day long it's in bad taste, but that would require a law change. And at present, I see nothing wrong with what the man is doing.
Would we all?
Exactly. Great argument, man. Great fucking argument. Like, come on. Nobody can say that this nigga was not cooking. This nigga is cooking. This nigga didn't won the whole debate by himself.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
He could have soloed both of these niggas, and he basically is.
All agree that that we would like to live in a country where the president can't make money from his access to the government. Would we broadly like to agree that that's something we'd like in our country?
Can't? I mean, I would say that they should prioritize it.
Okay. So what if the president made, I think $500,000 a year is not enough to be president, honestly. What if the president made $10 million a year and we said, that's it? If you make any extra money from your access to the government, it's illegal.
I think our politicians are generally rich enough. I don't think we really need to be raising salaries for them.
I also think that most of their wealth is going to come through status and connection more so than it is like a monetary pension.
I think we found common ground.
Well, oh my God. God forbid. Isn't that what I just said? Like it literally just happens when they become president. So he doesn't really have to go out of his way to do that stuff. And we don't really have any real evidence that he is going out of his way to do that stuff. And if he does decide to use his business because it's easier for him to do so, right? Like if you own a business and your business is in real estate, like Trump says, or you run hotels and stuff, and there are officials that are coming to the country and they need somewhere secure to do that or whatever, and it would be easy for you to supply them a place because you have connections to your own family business that can do that. Why the fuck would you not just take the easiest route? Like, that's the easiest route. Whether or not it enriches him is irrelevant. But it's the easiest route. Like, it's the quickest thing. It's actually, it would arguably be stupid to try to go out of your way to do something else when, I mean, this could also be at less of a cost for the government. Because think about it. If he decides to just be like, oh yeah, we'll put you up in here, you guys don't even have to pay. Like, do we even know like whether they had to pay or not? They're just paying for the hotel. Is the government paying for them to stay at the hotel? Like, what are the terms of this? Is he really being enriched by this? Or is he just providing them a place to stay? Like, he could have just provided them a place to stay for free. I don't necessarily even know the details of what they're talking about. I heard about it before. But I'm just saying, like, unless we actually dig into the details there, you can't really provide any hard evidence that this is just him trying to enrich himself. Because if he's just letting them stay there, you know, pro bono, and it's just like, oh yeah, well, I have this hotel, we got an open room, you guys can just stay there. That way the government doesn't have to worry about paying for a place for you to stay, and you guys don't have to worry about, you know, putting any money into it. We can just keep you guys here in this hotel room that I have, a very luxury hotel room or whatever, right? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with him doing it? He could have been saving the American taxpayers money for all we know.
Or we did not find common ground on whether or not Donald Trump faced malicious political prosecution, but I think we found some on the fact that a president should have the right to seek legal redress if they did.
New fallout after the leak of racist
Yeah. Which, like, if they tried to disagree with that, it would be fucking ridiculous.
text messages linked to members of young Republican groups across the country. The website Politico says it obtained 7 months.
Oh, here we go. I remember hearing about this. I really don't care about this. Like, I low-key could just end the video right now because I know I'm not going to care about any of this conversation. And to be frank, nah. Okay, we'll stick it out. We'll stick it out. But we'll take another short break. So I'm gonna be right back. But you know, give me a second. Give me a second. All right? Just tomate.
We accept the one of us. We accept the one of us. Uber gobble, Uber gobble. We accept it, we accept it.
All right. We back. All right. Let's get back to the shits. Get back to the shit.
7 months worth of messages from a group chat in which racist and anti-Semitic slurs were used more than 250 times.
I think we all can agree. The young Republicans are cooked.
Awful, it's revolting, it's disgusting, it's obnoxious.
Politico says Peter Junta, who was the chair of the New York State Young Republicans, allegedly wrote in a text message, "Everyone that votes no is going to the gas chamber." In another exchange, Junta reportedly responded, "Great, I love Hitler," during a discussion about backing a right-wing candidate. Some Republicans have denounced the language, while Vice
Yeah, they are cooked.
President J.D. Vance dismissed the messages as edgy, offensive jokes.
Which, when I hear them, the reason I laugh is because that's how I see them too. Like, I don't believe that they were saying any of that seriously. It just sounds like they were saying edgy jokes. Like, that's all it sounds like. I hear people do it all the time. They're not even very creative edgy jokes. Like, people make these jokes all the time. These are very common jokes that people will make.
Canceling kids because they do something stupid in a group chat.
Bigotry and hate speech are becoming normalized among young conservatives.
They might have something here. This one is probably going to be the easiest one for them to argue. Because, yeah, I mean, internet radicalization is a thing. I mean, we are seeing the rise of the woke right now. So this is a thing. Actually, I'm going to have to agree with the prompt. I think it's going to be pretty easy for them to argue, too. I'm interested to see how our brother holds up here because he's been doing a really good job. So I want to see what he's going to come with on this one. He's sharp. See what he got. Because he been 1v2ing like this whole debate. He been whooping both of their ass. He could have soloed this whole thing himself.
I mean, I'll let y'all have the floor on this one.
Boy, been putting
Sure.
belt to ass.
I think that, first of all, I'll say that I think that the much bigger problem in our country with hate speech and bigotry is amongst the American left wing, and especially the youth left.
Interesting argument. I like the tactic because I think he knows it's true. He knows the prompt is true. So he's like, you know what? Even if we granted the prompt, he's not even going to argue it. I think you guys are doing it more. Good tactic. Good tactic, sir. I'll commend you for that. Good job. Good job. Good job.
Left wing. I think that the response that we've seen in the aftermath of multiple assassinations, of the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and the assassination of healthcare CEO, the response of the American youth left to celebrate these assassinations was just disgusting. I think that the American
He's kind of, and the thing I like about this tactic, right? He's kind of shifting the burden of proof of him. Like, they already have the burden of proof because they're the ones making the claim here, right? But he's forcing them to have to defend their side's bigotry and hate speech. He's like, yo, sure, maybe, even if it's true, I think you guys are who we have to worry about more. He's like, I think you guys have more bigotry and hate speech going on your side. I think you guys are really normalizing it more yourself. So this is a good way of like reshifting the conversation. Like, he's reframing the entire conversation. This is very slick. Now let's see if they're gonna let him get away with it. That's what we really want to see here.
American left wing has a really big problem right now with promoting and wanting political violence. And I think that that's a lot bigger of a deal.
Some people would argue this is a dishonest tactic, but really this is just smart. Because at the end of the day, I mean, he probably knows he can't really argue against this claim. Or he probably doesn't want to try to argue against the claim because he knows that they could probably make a decent argument for it. So he's kind of just shifting the argument.
Than some 20 and 30-year-olds making some jokes in the group chat.
I'm going to say very quickly that those nobodies, because that's what they are. Nobody knew who they were until those chats got leaked. They were horrendously.
Ooh. Wow, this is why I like him, man. This is why he said He said these nobodies, because that's who they are. Nobody knew who the fuck these niggas were until these chats leaked, and that's the way it should stay. This is why I like him, bro. He's like, these nobodies.
Racist jokes, but I'm going to say that that's exactly what they were, jokes, because that's what they were. They're a group of nobodies.
Well, do you think that nobodies are?
He's like, yeah, it just looks like a group of nobodies making some jokes in a chat. Like, I'm just like, he makes a compelling argument. It's just a bunch of nobodies making jokes in the chat. I was like, if that's your evidence for this claim, I don't know if your claim holds up. So it's a pretty good tactic from him as well, to be like, if this is your evidence for the claim, then no, right? He's not going to necessarily address the claim itself. Again, smart. Like he was before when he avoided making claims that he could not defend. And they got upset about that because people fucking hate when you're honest about not knowing something and you don't want to give an answer either way. You're just going to be honest and say, I don't know. People hate that. When they want to tell you that something is true or untrue, they hate when you say, I'm going to need more evidence, and until then, I don't know. They hate it. They fucking hate it, especially when they've already chosen a side. They want you to be on a side so they can either be mad at you or be happy that you're on their side.
These are like heads of organizations that have over 15,000 members.
You're saying that that's how many members that they have?
Yeah, so they were head of different statewide Young Republican.
Wait, what'd he say?
Heads of organizations that have over 15,000.
Well, they're a group of nobodies.
Well, do you think that nobodies are like heads of organizations that have over 15,000 members?
Oh, okay. So he's arguing they weren't nobodies. They were heads of organizations that had over 15,000 members or something. Okay. That's a good response.
You're saying that that's how many members that they have?
Yeah, so they were head of different statewide Young Republican groups, and those organizations, specifically the one in New York, has over 15,000 members. I don't think that these are just like people without influence or not.
That's a good response. That is a good response. But, right, this is like a scale thing, right? In comparison to people like Charlie Kirk, these people were fucking nobodies. Like, it's like you can have a big following, but as far as like the actual political scale is concerned, like you're not actually changing, you're not having much of an impact on things. Like you're a nobody. Nobody actually cares about who the fuck you are. People don't even know who your group is besides the people that are in it. So I mean, again, he still would technically be right that they're nobodies. I guess it would just be scales. But this is a good response to what he said. This is a really good response.
They may have some degree of influence. How old were they?
I believe he was in his early 30s.
The main guy I think was 28.
I actually had a question for you. I don't want to pry into your personal life. I know that you're affiliated with like a Young Republican.
I'm the
group.
president for the College of Republicans.
Is that affiliated with like that? Is that a Young Republican?
I'm
group?
the president for the College of Republicans.
Is that affiliated with like that? Is that a statewide agency of the broader federal?
I'm the national president for the College of Republicans of America. So we're separate from the YRs.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But I mean, Keith, you had your.
I was gonna say
So he said he's the what?
Of the broader federal.
I'm the national president for the College of Republicans of America. So we're separate.
So he's the national president for the College Republicans of America. Okay, so this guy actually has a name. So he's actually like kind of a somebody. But because we're talking about nobodies here, he's I mean, I don't know who the fuck he is. As far as I'm concerned, he's a fucking nobody. And as far as most people are concerned, he's a fucking nobody, which is what I think the guy was saying when he said that. Like, we don't know who these motherfuckers are, and we definitely don't really care about who what these motherfuckers are saying in like a private chat, really. Like, it's not like if they're joking around in a private chat, that's like, okay, wow, we don't even know who these motherfuckers are. Like, about to read into the shit. Like, oh my God, like, wow, they said some edgy things. We don't know whether it's jokes or not, and honestly, I don't. Should we really care? Like, again, like I don't know if this is evidence of the claim, especially if they were joking. Right? Again, they could make this argument. There's a lot of things that they could use to make this argument too. It just, I actually don't think that they're gonna be able to do it. I'm actually, yeah, I don't think that I see them I feel like they'd be a little bit more confident. They'd probably be starting to make these arguments already, and they're not. I'm not going to say what the arguments are because I'm hoping that they will say it. But I don't think that they have the intellectual capacity or the information really to make the argument for it if this is how this is going.
From the YRs.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But I mean, Keith, you had your.
I was gonna say, like, I condemn any jokes that were made about Charlie Kirk. I think it's terrible. Do you condemn what these young men were saying?
I do. I think that they were. I mean, I think the joke.
He like he was about to say something there, and he waited because the other guy started talking. But
men were saying.
I do. I think that they were.
I think his response is like, he's like, I got to disavow what these niggas are saying. Really? Like he looking like you see the color of my skin, right?
I mean, I think the jokes were in poor taste. Is what I'll say. I think that. But what I will say as well is that I think that there is a broad characterization on the left to try to paint these as being as if they were serious or as if that this is an ideology amongst young American conservatives, and it's just not. I think if you look at
again, I'm saying they could make the argument. I just don't know if they're like versed enough because it's just an argument that a lot of people on the right have been making.
What they actually.
Nick Fuentes is.
Nick Fuentes.
There we go. There we go. There we go. This is a way that they can make the argument. Now we're getting somewhere. I mean, I knew that they were probably going to bring it up, but again, I still don't know if they can fully make the argument. They might just appeal to the idea of Nick Fuentes, and then that's it. Like, I don't think they're actually going to be able to fully make this argument. Again, I'm not going to say what the argument is, but they're almost there.
Does not represent the conservative movement at all by any stretch of the imagination.
The thing is that's interesting.
And that is a good response, but I don't believe that that's entirely true. So that's probably the first it's probably the first time I'm going to push back against something he said. I don't think it's the first time this year. I think there's some other things that I had to add caveats on to what he said, but now that part I wouldn't entirely agree with. But technically he's correct. Technically. I just don't like that's a bit debatable.
With that though, and I'm glad to hear that you disagree with Nick Fuentes. Like that's refreshing to hear because he's growing at such a rapid pace, and the reason why is because
he is, and it seems like he might actually be able to make the argument. He might be able to make this argument. I'm seeing it now
because so many young men are viewing that as my ideology. I agree with that fully. There's a term that's going around called black fatigue. Where people are saying that when they see
He's got it. It's over. No, they're making the argument. They got the argument. Now, I'm not saying it can't be argued against, but as far as this argument goes, this is the best argument they could make to back up the claim that they made. This is the best argument they have available to them. The shit going on Twitter, the amount of literal bigotry and hate speech coming from the conservatives. Yeah. Like trends like the whole black fatigue thing could speak to exactly what they are saying.
One, either assuming that they're going to be.
And does speak to what they're saying. It's at least on the rise. And if they're saying that it's becoming normalized, well, those things kind of go hand in hand.
Committing violence, or two, they don't want to live in a neighborhood with black people. And that is a term that's specifically coined by Nick Fuentes that has garnered the attention of people like Steven Crowder, Tucker Carlson just had on Nick Fuentes where they had a buddy interview. Like this is a man that is getting so much influence. And whether you like
and from their perspective, like platforming somebody like him and not pushing back against a lot of what he's saying essentially starts to normalize his ideals. And I mean, this is what Hotep's been saying. Like, yeah, they're getting him ready. They're kind of cleaning him up. but he's still saying a lot of the shit that he's saying, and that people are parroting a lot of the shit that he's saying. There's a lot more parroting of some of these more offensive talking points, these more divisive talking points, and the bigotry. It can't really be debated. Like, if you're aware of what's going on online right now and you're tapped in, these things are on the rise. So he is making the argument. This is the argument I was talking about. He's doing a pretty good job so far of actually making this argument too. I'm not sure how they'll respond to this.
Like it or not, that is the future of the Republican
no,
Party.
Whoa. Now that part, he's gonna have to substantiate a little bit more. But personally, I don't think he's wrong. I think that's probably correct. As depressing as it is, I think he's right.
And go back to my point. I think that there's a, if you look at what was actually said, and if you look at them in context, these weren't serious statements being made. Like the headline of the article saying "I love Hitler," that wasn't what he wasn't making an actual claim about a political ideology.
Right, he was talking.
Well, that is true. Although I know they brought that video up, but in response to what he said, it's kind of off topic.
Missing a group chat again. It's in horrendous poor taste, and I think it's stupid. But again, he's
and to say
that when Nick Fuentes says "I love Hitler," is he joking?
I mean, I
is he? That's a good question. That's a great question. What can you say to that? Is Nick Fuentes joking when he says he loves Hitler? Is he joking? Somebody else might be. The young Republican guy might be joking, but is Nick joking?
I don't really know much about it.
I do.
But that's what I feel like you actually can't discount one person and then say that someone else is doing the same thing. It's just a joke. I think
those are two different people, though. So I mean, we have to be fair, though, because those.
Yeah, he came to say today. Again, he is the most logical person at the table. He had to come in to say today. He's like, look, these are two different people here. All right. He didn't answer the question, but these are two different people. Just because this guy was joking doesn't mean this guy is joking.
Those kids in that group chat is one thing. Nick Fuentes has made a platform off of saying insane, outlandish, nonsensical crap. And I'm not even gonna do that to those people in that group chat. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna make that.
He said, I'm not gonna compare them to Nick Fuentes, bro. He's like, we got to make a distinction here. These are some kids in the fucking chat. This is Nick Fuentes, who's built his entire career on this shit. Great point.
Correlation between them and a guy like Nick Fuentes. I refuse to do that.
So in the sake of fairness, right, when you say that obviously there's a political motive between the jokes made about Charlie Kirk or Christians and a lot of the left, can you say that there's the same thing for the right?
I think that there is a very distinct difference
between that's a good question. Because if the jokes that the left make is indicative of them, advocating for violence or being okay with it or whatever, then you would have to, address whether or not these Republicans making these racist jokes or these jokes about loving Hitler is some kind of testament to what they actually believe or how seriously they take these events or whatever.
Between the two. And so let's talk about what I was brought up earlier with the Charlie Kirk stuff. If you look at the actual rhetoric of prominent Democrat politicians calling people like Donald Trump and Charlie Kirk fascists
or Hitler,
can you name one Democrat official?
Yes, Kamala Harris.
He called Trump Hitler.
She called Trump Hitler.
Or another one, Jasmine Crockett.
What about J.D. Vance?
What about him?
Yeah, that tracks.
He did the same thing.
He didn't. Did he call him Hitler? I don't think he directly called him Hitler, but he did almost. He essentially called him it. Like J.D. Vance did do that. He did that.
He called him Hitler.
Yeah,
And one of them
and he was
changed-
wrong
one of
because
them
he was
changed- right.
radicalized by the
And one of them
left.
changed.
I don't think he ever apologized for that.
One of them had
Wait, did he say he was radicalized by the left? Ooh, that's a small L.
the sense to change their stance. Well, he had to apologize. He maybe not have done it publicly, and he did apologize publicly, by the way. So one of these people that were named changed their stance, became Trump's vice president. The other one has the audacity to go on the Breakfast
True.
Club, still to this day, talking about Byron Donalds as whitewashed just because he married a white woman, and then has the audacity to call Trump Hitler versus actually doing her job in Congress. So, I mean, like that does. And Donald Trump is not Hitler. I'm sorry. There's nothing that Donald Trump has
I don't
done.
think Donald Trump is Hitler, but I think
nowhere
Donald Trump is doing a lot of similar things.
Has he authorized the slaughter of?
Well, yeah, sure. He's doing a lot of similar things. So what? A lot of politicians do similar things to Hitler because they're in control of certain reigns of power. So, yeah. You know, Hitler drank water too. Like, come the fuck on.
6 million Jews?
No.
Has he stolen all the guns? Has he taken away the guns of the citizens in the country like Hitler did to the Germans?
You could go down a
No, I mean,
gestalt of a bunch of
you
different
say he's
policies.
close, but he.
Yes, but we could talk about.
Yeah, but the important things that distinguish Hitler from other people, he's not doing those things. That's what he's pointing out right now. Again, great argument. Great argument. Because they're being dishonest.
The similarities, and then we're spending a whole hour talking about what's similar to Donald Trump with Hitler, what's not similar. What we're saying is there's a clear authoritarian push, and something that y'all are okay with, especially when it comes to censorship.
There's a clear authoritarian push by who? And who is this clear to? Like, we're not going to address it. Just
Censorship of journalists, when it comes to the rounding up and the lack of due process for people that are being detained by ICE. Like, a lot of this is clear.
I forgot this is slowed down again. Like, we're almost to the end. Let's speed it up. I want to be done with this. This is very irritating.
Really a push for authoritarianism. And I know a lot of Republicans that say, I'm fine for a little authoritarianism. We need some law and order. It's been too lawless for too long. And I don't know if you would at least sympathize with that end. I think
Yeah, sure, but there are people saying stuff like that on both sides. Like, I mean, they've always existed.
that's where we're really seeing the divide here is people that want to maintain institutions that have been principled in American history, and then those that say, it's time for change, we need a strong man like Trump to take over.
Going back to my point earlier, I think that
to be fair, I think there's very few people actually saying that. There's people joking about it, but very few people are actually saying that.
Going back to the point about the fascism, calling Trump fascist, we have prominent Democrat politicians like Kamala Harris calling Donald Trump fascist and likening him to Hitler. That creates the ideological base for the crazies in your party to go and assassinate someone like Charlie Kirk.
So you also condemn Trump saying that Kamala Harris is a
let me finish my point. That's why you saw on the bullet it said, "Catch this fascist," the one that shot Charlie Kirk. That's why you see people on thousands of people on the Democrat base on social media celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. And the problem isn't necessarily people making jokes that are in poor taste about it. The problem is when people on the left genuinely celebrate it. And that's the difference that we see between these right-wing group chats and people on the left in the response to Charlie Kirk's assassination. It's people on the right, they joke, they make bad jokes. What is people on the left? It is genuine celebration of Charlie Kirk's assassination.
What is fascism?
Fascism is violently suppressing political dissent through means of force.
It's also the
No, that's not what fascism is.
control. It is when you're trying to control all aspects of government and trying to crush any dissent.
Right,
I would disagree.
That's an aspect of it.
I disagree with that definition. I mean, I think that we've
That's like totalitarianism, but whatever.
seen Marxist-Leninist regimes that have crushed political dissent. Those aren't fascist.
I would 100% classify.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's again. These guys on the left side of this argument is terrible. Like, there's been so many times where he had to basically just like fucking correct his like debate partner and just be like, okay, no, we're not going to argue about that because that's just not true. And then this other guy over here is just basically soloing them too. Like, he's making good arguments. White guy's making good arguments. Don't get me wrong. Mr. President of the college Republicans or whatever the fuck. But the other guy's just making, his arguments are just so much more sharp. Like, he's been killing the two of them by himself for the most part. Because the other guy's been making good, decent arguments, I guess. But, sometimes he gets tripped up and, like, I'm not going to say the homie comes in to save the day, like, almost every single time.
Communism is inherently fascist.
You guys are getting confused with your ideology.
No,
And that's
we're not.
It depends.
No, like, I mean, if you guys, that's the thing. I basically just said that communism and fascism are like just opposite sides of the same coin. But even if you use like that guy's definition or whatever, he's right. Like, communism would just be like communism and fascism would essentially be the same thing if that was true.
It depends on fascism specifically is a call to a mythological nostalgia about a particular hierarchical group. So it's about promising.
I mean, I guess.
It is when you're trying to control all aspects of government and trying to crush any dissent.
Right, I would disagree.
That's just
I disagree with that
totalitarianism.
definition. I mean, I think that we've seen Marxist-Leninist regimes that have crushed political dissent. Those aren't fascist.
I would 100% classify Stalin as fascist.
Communism is inherently fascist.
No,
you guys are getting.
That communism is inherently fascist. I would disagree with that, but I know where he's going with that. Like I said, like I've always said, like communism and fascism are opposite sides of the same coin, and that does kind of imply that they're almost the same thing. So.
Being confused with your ideology.
No,
we're
not.
It depends on fascism specifically is a call to a mythological nostalgia about a particular hierarchical group. So it's about promising and protecting hierarchy between particular groups, whether that is racial, whether that is religious, whether that is cultural.
I mean, it depends on who's defining the term. Fascism is one of the least defined political terms out there.
It does depend on who's defining the term, but I don't. It's a little more complicated than that.
I think it's pretty easy to point to things that are fascist.
No, there's a good amount of historians who would call Stalin a fascist. But
can you name two?
Yeah, there are. Yeah, for sure.
Off the top of my head,
Webster Tarpley.
Don't try to
Webster
appeal
Tarpley.
to that ethos.
Webster Tarpley would be one. Webster Tarpley would be one that would properly identify Hitler as a fascist. This idea, the ideological tap dance that's going on here is insane to me. Bigotry and hate speech are becoming normalized among young conservatives. Outside of Nick Fuentes, can you show me any other young conservatives?
Ooh. Now they probably can't if they know enough. They can respond to this. But again, this is a good question. Like he's doing great so far. Even with this being an argument that's fairly difficult for them to argue against, he's doing a really good job.
I have an example. Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Trump is not
No.
Donald Trump. He has called people here who are undocumented vermin.
Not what he said.
Yeah,
he did. He said we need to get rid of the vermin in our country.
Yeah, people like MS-13.
By vermin, right. He said.
Yeah, he meant the criminals and gang members who are violating people in the country, as well as some of the illegal immigrants, like the coyotes and all that. Like, we gotta be dishonest, man. Why do we have to be dishonest?
They're poisoning. He said undocumented immigrants are
like, oh my God, he was just calling all the undocumented immigrants vermin. Like, bro,
poisoning the blood of America.
He was specifically, thank you. He
was
specifically referring to MS-13 gang members, the people that were killing and taking over.
Bad faith.
I wish that were true.
I wish you said MS-13.
I wish that were true.
No, I'm telling you. I didn't say that he said in that quote that you're trying to pull. I said that's what he was referring to. Anytime he's been referring to the illegals as immigrants, or you can say no all you want. Like there's not thousands of clips of him condemning illegal immigrants going into American apartment homes, like in Chicago or across the country.
Do you think it's okay to label undocumented immigrants as vermin?
If you're killing American citizens, that is exactly what you are.
But that's not what he was not saying. These Americans. No,
yeah, it was. It's exactly what the man did.
The point is that the criticism.
Yeah, they're right. He wasn't just like, I don't think I've ever heard Trump just say that all undocumented immigrants were like vermin or refer to them all as criminals. He's very specifically said that a lot of them are criminals and that those are the main people he wants to get the fuck out of here. He's been very clear about that.
Is the generalization. That's the point.
Yes.
So if you were specifically saying MS-13 or you're doing that term, whatever, when you're saying just the overall day, there's a lot of interpretation that your constituency is going to interpret. And your job as an executive, the person that's in control.
No, bro. No. Only you are fucking doing. Only you dishonest fucking leftists are doing that. Nobody else is looking at that like, oh, he's talking about all immigrants being vermin. Like, no, the fuck he isn't, dude. No, he isn't. Even if they're illegal immigrants, he would not say that. That's not what he believes. Do you ever actually watched him speak about these issues?
Charge of the entire country, you should be trying to appeal to all those that are constituents within you. And when you say the fascist radical left that are Marxists, the anarchists, they're ruining our country, you're attributing a whole list of different insults.
Would you argue that it was bigotry when Joe Biden got his ass on?
What does that have to do with anything?
That wanted to vote for Trump garbage. Is that bigotry or hate speech?
When you put on the MAGA hat?
Yes or no? Just yes or no. Is that hate speech?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. At least you can be that honest. This idea.
So Donald Trump's never said anything incendiary towards Democrats.
Trump has absolutely said.
He didn't say that. He just asked you specifically to point out that your people do it too. Like, it might not be the best argument because technically it's like a tu quoque, right? But if we're talking about your argument that it's becoming normalized and that you're using Donald Trump as an example, it's like, well, we could use your president as an example if we're just going to talk about speaking badly about politicians on the other side of the aisle. Like, come on, bro.
That's just what
That's
politicians.
political
so
theater.
then we need to drop. We've gone down a whole tangent. Hold on. We've gone down a whole tangent of saying that.
I really like the mic setup on this table, by the way. I wanted to say that. Like, I like the way they have this like set up. I like this setting.
Because Democrats called Donald Trump a fascist, this is indicative that there is political violence that's being
No,
encouraged by
there
the
is
left.
a 100% difference because you
No,
don't see
no,
people
we
on the right
just said-
celebrating violence or going out and trying to assassinate people like Joe
100%.
Biden.
So people on the right did not celebrate when Nancy Pelosi's husband was bludgeoned by a hammer. You're saying nobody on the right made jokes or
Donald Trump jokes about it? Yes.
Yeah, that's a completely different issue, and from what we know, like the person that did that was from you guys' side. But also, I don't even think it was politically motivated. Like apparently, like he was like, I think his personal political views were probably like lefty or whatever. But if I recall, there was no actual. I don't think they found any evidence that what he did was politically motivated. Might have been, or the guy was just like crazy or something. So I mean, like, wow, oh my God, they made fun of it or whatever. Because first of all, it was Nancy Pelosi's husband. It wasn't Nancy Pelosi, and they weren't necessarily making fun of the fact that he got attacked because there were a lot of weird things that were going on with that. Like, it was a very weird. I think there might have even been there might have been like some footage or like audio recording. I can't remember, but like, yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was fair game to make fun of. That like they weren't making fun of like him being attacked when that happened. And I hate when they bring this up and act like conservatives were just like, oh, well, Nancy Pelosi's husband deserved it. It's like nobody was like saying that or joking about that. Like they were joking about the circumstances of what was going on and possibly why it happened. Because supposedly some random fucking guy was showing up upset or looking for him and like started fucking him up. I can't remember the exact details of the story. Like, let me just look this up real quick. This will be like the last thing we look up. We'll just ask the AI, like, what happened to Nancy Pelosi's husband? Because I just want to remember the details of the case. I said Nanny Pelosi. Paul Pelosi was the victim of a violent home invasion. And that's the other thing. He attacked him with a hammer. Like that's just weird. Like if they're making fun, like, oh, why? They were making jokes about it. It's like, bro, yeah, like people are probably gonna make fun of like a case where like somebody gets attacked with a hammer. Like it's a very odd thing. Like it's not a very common thing that happens. I don't think most people are getting attacked by hammers, by random crazy people. Yeah. So he broke into the Pelosi's home, demanding to know where's Nancy. So he was looking for Nancy, and Nancy wasn't there. Her husband was there. And Paul like confronted him and apparently was not built like that. I mean, I know he's 82 apparently. But like they said the guy embraced far right conspiracy theory. He planned to kidnap Nancy Pelosi and interrogate her. So yeah, whatever. I guess they said he was found guilty, yada yada yada. But I don't like let me confirm. Was the attacker a conservative? I mean, even if he was, doesn't really matter. I just don't remember them actually like. They said he was like radicalized by far right stuff, but I don't really believe that. There are Democrats that don't like Nancy Pelosi, like, and he was from like California or something. He was not a traditional conservative. But he believed in right-wing conspiracy theories, which I mean, you got to take with a grain of salt, because what many right-wing conspiracy theories that and align with far-right extremism. What does that even mean? Align with far shift from left to right. He testified in court that he was previously left-leaning. Okay, so he underwent a political transformation. So he was a lefty. He was a lefty that became this. What's the word? Whatever that. Not disenfranchised, but God, I can't remember the word. But he's one of those people that shifted from left to the right. But we can say like he originally started as one of them. So he probably apparently liked Nancy Pelosi. But I wouldn't just consider that like just like some kind of conservative attack. But again, it doesn't really matter because this is just like some random guy that they're admitting like fell victim to conspiracy theories, whether they're actually conspiracy theories or not, we don't know. But he's very obviously mentally unstable, and he attacked him with the hammer, and he was looking for Nancy Pelosi and shit. Like, I think there were some other facts of the case where like Paul Pelosi was like, in his pajamas or some shit. Like he was like half naked. So there were a lot of like fucking alternate theories people had about what actually happened and shit like that. But that's what they were joking about. They weren't joking about the fact that he got attacked.
Celebrated? No. The difference is that it's indicative of a broader political ideology on the left that wants to violently suppress Republican and people like ours belief systems. That's the difference.
Let's slow this down for just one moment. Because, again, we are condemning what happened to Charlie Kirk, and anyone who joked about it, I actually cried about it in my YouTube channel. I thought it was, as someone who talks about politics, I was terrified.
The base with.
Now,
nobody cares that you cried, you fucking pussy.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Why are you even fucking telling us that?
Nancy Pelosi's husband was alone in her home, in his home. Someone broke into his home.
This nigga's going through the details. I didn't even have to do that, did I? We know. No, he was. I remembered that much at least.
Looking for Nancy Pelosi, had a hammer. Thank God she wasn't there, but he was. He got hit in the head so hard that he had to go to the hospital, and they weren't even sure he was going to make it out. Okay. What did Donald Trump Jr. do? A couple days later, he posted underwear and a hammer, saying, "I got my Halloween costume ready."
Well, that wasn't.
That's funny as fuck. Come on now. Are we gonna act like that's not hilarious? Again, they're not making fun of the fact that he was attacked. It was the situation that happened. It was the circumstances of the situation that were arguably comical. A lot of people looked at that and was like, wow, that sucks. That's really fucked up. But it's kind of funny. Like, why was he in his underwear? Like, why did he attack him with a hammer? Like, that's what they found funny about it, not the fact that he got attacked.
In reference to celebrating the violence, that was in reference to.
You think that's okay? No, yes or no? You think what Donald Trump Jr. did is okay?
I thought it's been insensitive.
I think that the real divide here is pointing to specific.
Yes, what he did was okay and fucking hilarious. Yes.
Examples of what could be perceived as political violence. I think that what we should go back to is when the media would not show the face, would not show the motive of people who commit these violence. Because one, I think it encouraged copycats, and two, I think we could go down this rabbit hole.
I don't even have a problem with people joking about the Charlie Kirk shit. There's a difference between joking about something and condoning it and celebrating it. Like he was saying, like there were people that were actually celebrating on your side about it. People weren't celebrating that Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked. They were just making jokes about it.
Of always trying to psychoanalyze the specific motives of people who are clearly deranged that we can all agree with. So I think the bigger question here is how do we develop?
Right, exactly. That was a good point. Give him props. We gotta give him props for that. Yeah, we gotta give him some props for that. Like, why are we sitting up here acting like a crazy person didn't do some crazy shit, and people weren't just making fun of the fact that a crazy person was doing some crazy shit?
A culture that leads to these nihilistic tendencies to where people feel like these actions of violence are okay, and that really should be what we're focusing on. And it seems to be like we're getting lost in the weeds on specifically whose fault that is.
The removal of God leads to nihilism.
The thing that I realized from this conversation.
Yeah, he's somewhat right. So he's conceding a little bit.
We're getting lost in the weeds on specifically whose fault that is.
The removal of God leads to nihilism.
The thing that I realized.
He said the removal of God leads to violence. Some would argue that you would probably have a lot of violence if people are arguing over gods and things related to that. But I mean, generally speaking, I think he's right.
Realize from this conversation is that there are things we have in common, and I think algorithms and I think oligarchs want us to think that we are completely different. And it's when we have conversations like this that we become more powerful as citizens because we realize actually there aren't that many things different. Like obviously we have extreme differences, but we all want the same thing.
Yeah, and on that sentiment, I think that we'll blame different things, but I think that the mainstream media definitely doesn't want these conversations to happen. I think that types of conversations like these, where we're not calling each other racist or socialist or what any other insult is actually incredibly productive to our country. I think that the rapid development of our country of people defriending others or cutting off family because of their political beliefs is incredibly alarming. And I want us to get back to a country where we can have heated, passionate discussions where we just vehemently disagree with each other, but at the end of the day, can actually have a conversation and still be friends.
As someone that has lost connection with family members because of my political views, I think the internet should be the public square. Platforms like Jubilee should have as large a reach as possible because the internet is the fastest way to disseminate and transfer information to everybody. So therefore, it should be treated like a phone company. It should be free and fair for all Americans.
I was actually nervous going into this. I'm used to just talking to camera. I'm not used to like engaging with people, so I was nervous. But it's actually been really nice. So thanks for like allowing this to happen.
Absolutely appreciate you guys coming out.
This was a great conversation. Glad that we all four of us got a chance to sit at the round table. So good picks, Jubilee. Thank you.
Yeah, no. Yeah, okay. That wasn't too bad. I actually somewhat enjoyed that. You know, the homie saved the day. He was it Martin? Which one was he? Austin, Mason, Martin, Keith. Is he Keith Edwards? Let's see. Let's go back to the beginning real quick so we can get his name. We can do proper shout outs. I wanna give him a proper shout out. Yeah, Austin. So shout out to Austin. Shout out to Austin for fucking 1v2ing this entire fucking debate. Shout out to Martin for doing a good job. What was that other guy's name? Mason? Yeah, okay, so I remember this guy. So Mason, a shout out to Mason for being the most coherent person on the left side of the debate. Even though he had his moments where he was extremely bad faith and dishonest, he was definitely the most reasonable person on that side of the table and made the best arguments. Was willing to bite the bullet and fucking, you know, be a little bit good faith when it came to some of the arguments that his partner was trying to make, that he was like, oh, we can't be arguing that. So I mean, this actually was pretty refreshing as far as a lot of the Jubilee content goes. It was also very infuriating at certain points. But I think this was actually a fairly productive debate as far as Jubilee videos go. So hats off to them. Hats off to them. Gotta give them they props. Gotta give them they props. Yep. So, here we are, the end of the stream. And I know what you're thinking. Are there any more tunes? Nah. Not this time. Maybe one more. We'll see. But I will say, we will have another one of these coming either tomorrow or this weekend or both, depending on how long it takes me. You know, I might start one tomorrow. I was thinking about covering one of the Andrew Wilson debates that happened this week. There was one on the Whatever podcast. It was insufferable. I've seen some parts of it already, but I was gonna kind of break it down a little bit and then shift over to another one. We might do a stream where we do some highlights of a couple different debates and do like some quick analysis and breakdowns of those. But we might not do the entire things. So that'll be coming most likely this weekend. I should be off either the entire weekend or most of the weekend. Schedule a little weird this week. But yeah, thank you for joining me. I think this has been a really good analysis, I think. A little bit more enjoyable than some of the other ones. I do like the little 20v1 videos that Jubilee does, but it is a little easier to analyze the arguments when it's not switching people every couple of minutes, so we can really like analyze the points and determine who's being more good faith a lot easier. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. You know, leave something in the comments. You know, I saw a couple of you. I know you dropped in here during the stream. Didn't say anything in the chat. Low Taxes and Liberty did. Low Taxes and Liberty popped up. You know, he let us know in the chat that I should go fuck myself. because I am not taking sides and I'm just analyzing arguments. So yeah, look, man. Like, you guys gotta understand, there's not a lot of people that are gonna do this kind of content for you, okay? People don't like when you're neutral and not taking sides, all right? So, show some love. Like, follow, share, subscribe, right? Let your friends know. Throw a follow, right? And you want to be able to logically analyze debates the way I can, break down points, and point out fallacies with extreme precision, even the way that Austin did in this debate. Grab some flow. MinuteVoter.com. Grab you some flow. Get your mind right. Get the vegetable oils out of your supplements. And if you don't want to be a bitch, like the Democrat in that debate, that told us that he cried about Charlie being offed on stream. If you don't want to be a bitch like that, if you don't want to be completely fucking bitch made, then get you some Apex. Get your Apex. Also, on MinuteVoter.com. I'll drop a link in the chat. Give me 1 sec. We'll do this. I'm gonna drop a link in the chat for you guys. But I want you guys to really think. I want you to really think and say, hey, do I want to improve my life? Do I want to take supplements instead of pills and pharmaceuticals? And do I want supplements that have vegetable oils in them? Or do I want all natural, 100% herbal supplements? I'm just saying, I think the answer is obvious. I think you were really given a choice. You click that link right there. Get you some flow, some Apex, some aura for immune support, and maybe even some moon. Maybe you're having trouble sleeping. Maybe you want to get off the muff-kazut, right? Take some moon. Take a load off. All right? Thank you for joining me, beautiful people. We'll be back likely tomorrow, Hotep Thursday. Tune in to Hotep Jesus Live. He's got a presentation for us tomorrow. Can't wait for that. And until next time, I so bid you beautiful people. Au revoir.